Think we're live. Should be live. Going live, going live, going live live. All right, here we are. 2023 NHL Draft. Fortunately, for the first time in franchise history, the Seattle Kraken, who are the team I mostly follow on this channel, they are not picking very high up in the draft. They'll be picking 20th, but we're here for the fun anyway. We've got a lot of picks to go, and by the time it hits the Kraken, this is such a first of all, it's a very talented draft. A lot of these guys could have easily gone first or second, top 5 in the last couple of drafts. And it's also a very deep draft, which means once you get past the first kind of 10, it's hard to really say where anyone's going. And some guys, I mean, look at all sorts of lists. I put a bunch of lists together, and there's guys that go anywhere from like 9th to like 27th. And actually, let me pull this up right here so I have it ready to go. Not that one. Not that one. This one. Here we go. So yeah, let's see, how many players do we have here that are... So I found 10 lists. I mean, I know there's more than that. There's hundreds and hundreds, I'm sure, that people have made, but found 10 lists, a couple from TSN. I got the hockey guys on here, a couple from NHL.com. Tankathon, a couple from The Athletic, Sportsnet. There's like, how many are there here? There are 21 players that they unanimously agreed will go in the first round. And how many players overall? 47 players that at least one of them said would go in the first round. So again, a pretty wide range of pretty deep draft, and we'll probably have some guys that aren't even on one of these lists. I'm hoping that most of them are, so that way it'll make it nice and easy to get the names onto the little scroller over here. But getting ready to go. Hi, I've been looking forward to this as Stana. Absolutely, yep. We're back for stream since, unfortunately, the end of the second round. I did want to do one in the playoffs, but you know, once the Kraken season ended, I had a bunch of end of the season videos I wanted to get done, take a bit of a breather after the whirlwind that was the last couple of months, and then yeah, I had a couple of some non-channel related things that had been kind of postponed, life type stuff that had been postponed because of the playoffs and the unknowns there. So some things to take care of. Just got back from a bit of a camping trip, so that was fun. Get a little vacation in there. So that's why it's been a little light on the videos, but we'll have this stream, and then we'll have a video for the Kraken picks coming up here on probably Saturday. We'll get that video out, and might do some of the fan reactions. Let me know. Do you guys like the fan reaction ones? They're kind of fun to do, but I still will be doing one that's like the Seattle fan reaction to the season, like I did last year. That one got a good reception. Some of the other ones, like, people liked them, they just didn't get a ton of views, so it was hard to tell if that was just YouTube not putting them out there, or if people just aren't interested in the fan reaction things from other teams other than the Kraken. I do still want to do some of them, but let me know what you think there. Some there, and then the next 101 that in the process of writing still, and then I got to record and edit, will be the next installment of the History of Hockey series, the much requested next installment of the History of Hockey, or History of the NHL, really. As some people have pointed out, there's a lot of other hockey history that has happened over the course of the time that I've gone over, but really focused on the history of how the NHL came to be, and then the history of the NHL. And then once that's done, I will be doing a video or two about the history of kind of some other important things, some other important leagues that I didn't really have a chance to cover in the series so far. Women's hockey, obviously, one, European leagues, that kind of stuff. So got a lot to do still, but that one's down the road a bit. The next one is the WHA merger and everything from there for the next couple of decades, the Wayne Gretzky era of the NHL, if you will. That's the next one coming up here. It's okay with the number 1 pick, the Chicago Blackhawks trade their pick to the Kraken. Oh, excellent. I like it. You know what? The Kraken got the best player in the first draft with the second overall pick, and they got the best player, I'm going to say it still, with a 4th overall pick when Shane Wright fell to them at 4. I don't know that it's super likely that Bedard falls to 20, but, you know, hard to argue with the facts so far. The Kraken have the best players in each of the last 2 drafts. And that's totally objective fact. There's no one can argue that. Avaholic here saying, go Avs go, as always. Welcome in, welcome in. Avs have 2 picks in the first round, both late in the first round, but they've got 2 picks in the first round at the moment. I don't think there's been any more trades yet for the first round. Should probably check. In fact, actually, let me pull up a... I want the TSN trade tracker. It's just better. Oh, here we go. Trade tracker. Let's see, Riley Smith. Vegas traded Riley Smith to Pittsburgh today for a 3rd round pick. Avs got Ross Colton for a 2nd round pick. Major trade, yeah, the big ones. They got a couple of big ones here. Tyler Toffoli obviously headed to New Jersey for Yager Sharangovich and a 3rd round pick in this year's draft. Let's see, and then Blackwood went to San Jose for a 6th. San Jose got Suster, a defensive prospect from the Ducks. Just a trade there, a defenseman for a defensive prospect for a forward prospect. The Ducks and this was another big one here. Pierre-Luc Dubois went to the Kings. That was the big one yesterday. Finally found out where PLD was going. Is off to the Kings for Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, Velarde, and a 2nd round pick in next year's draft. So some big trades going down. Unfortunate that Pierre-Luc Dubois, the Kings got better. Don't like seeing the Kings get better, but it is what it is. Who knows? Maybe he'll decide that he doesn't want to play in LA in like a year. And Alex Newhook left the Avs, but the Avs got a 1st round pick and a 2nd round pick. Actually, now I have to make sure that the Avs... I think that was that they got... Yeah, they got Florida's... So Avalanche got Florida's pick from the Habs. How's it going today? Hope the Kraken get some much needed picks. So they've got a fair number of picks. They've got 1 today so far, and then they've got 3 in the 2nd round. So maybe they'll package some stuff and move up into the 2nd round again. We'll see. It's a very deep draft, so having 3 picks in the 2nd round is almost like having a couple of other 1st round picks in other years. This is a very good draft to have a lot of have those 2nd round picks in. But it's always good to have 1st round picks as well. Don't want to confuse you. What I said with yes, that was before you asked of the future videos. Yeah, we got a bunch of videos coming up still this summer. So, but coming up here in the near future is obviously we got this stream for the draft, and then we'll have a Kraken draft recap, Kraken fan reaction coming up here pretty soon. Might do like every fan reaction for the draft. We'll see if there's time, if I can find time to make that happen in a somewhat timely manner. And then free agency hits, and we'll cover anything that the Kraken do in free agency in the first couple of days. I don't think it's going to be a big year for free agency for the Kraken. Again, there's kind of some players that, like, you know, dream scenario I'd love to see the Kraken get, but I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting it to be a particularly noisy offseason for Seattle. Still still no big re-signings for the Kraken. Let's pull up Cap Friendly, just make sure nothing snuck under the wire while I was out camping Nope. So yeah, Kraken still have all those free agents they need to take care of. Us non-Kraken fan subscribers like the content about other teams. All right, good. Yeah, well, we're gonna do some more. I wanted to do more this last year. I decided not to do the fan reactions for every. Last year, I meant to do a fan reaction for every team, and I only got through a handful before COVID kind of killed the summer video production from last year. But hopefully that won't happen again for a second year in a row, and we can. I didn't do all the notes and stuff that I would need to do that this year, so I'm gonna try and maybe do that this next year, and we'll get the fan reactions going. And I'm gonna try and do some stuff over the course of the season, maybe mix in some shorts here and there with the fan reactions. I think that's a good way to do them. We'll see though, see where we go. But we'll get some of the fan reactions going again. Excited to see who we add to our prospect pool. In Ron we trust. Hope you're doing well. Doing good. The kid and his mom are outside playing in the backyard, so hopefully we won't have any too many noisy interruptions, at least for a little bit anyway. No, I do not have Connor Bedard on the ticker yet, even though he's pretty much guaranteed to go there. I think like I said, I put together a little spreadsheet of 10. Actually, let me pull that over to this one so I can just have it all in one place. Oh, that's the wrong one. Darn it. This is the one I wanted. Here we go. All right, there we go. There we go. But yeah, I got this spreadsheet. Oh, should I reveal the great spreadsheet? Why is this like... Oh. Whoops. There we go. So that's the big spreadsheet. I was trying to show the spreadsheet there, but oh no, I put the wrong one. There we go. There's the spreadsheet. So I got like a bunch of different ones. We'll be using this, but as you can see, big spread of players here. Bunch of 47 different guys that at least one of these had in there. I'm sure there's some other good ones, but we'll work with what we got. All 10 of the ones that I had there kind of unanimously have Bedard obviously at number 1 and then Fantilli at 2. And then 3 is pretty much always Leo Carlsson. Then it was like back and forth between Will Smith and Michkov for 4 and 5. And pretty much if Will Smith didn't go 4, they had him going 5. But Michkov did drop to like 7 or 8, and I think maybe 9 at one point. But pretty much 7 or 8. Yeah, the Hockey News had him dropping. No, they had him at 4. Okay, so if he got to 8, then the Caps picked him, and not every one of them. But here we go. We're getting going for the draft. In Nashville. There's the Buffalo Sabres table. Penguins behind him. Do you react to the drafts? Yes, I will react to the picks. We'll react to the picks, especially the Kraken. We'll pull them up here and TSN Trade Tracker. We got that going. Let's get this on. Let's go. Let's go hockey DB. I think, right? You think hockey DB? Hockey DB is a little bit easier to look at, but maybe I'll do elite prospects. We'll just start with hockey DB and see where we go. But yeah, we'll react to the picks. See what who goes where. The first 10, I think, are pretty much actually more the first like 7 or 8 are pretty much unanimously the top 7 or 8, and then what order they go in is a little bit different. But everything from like 10 to 20 or anything like that, it gets pretty much throw your hands up in the air, and any one of like 30 different guys could go from like 10 to 20. So we'll see what happens. See what happens. It could be a wild one. I'm sure everyone has their opinions. Personally, I don't have any like super strong opinions about this, like who I want the Kraken to get or anything like that. There's been some picks, like when they picked Riker Evans, that was kind of seen as a bit of a reach, but that's obviously turned out to be a perfectly good pick. So I think the Kraken will get a guy that they like. I wouldn't mind seeing them pick a defenseman. They're got lots and lots of forwards in the pipelines. It could get another good defenseman. Riker Evans, obviously, and Ty Nelson, both very good there, but could use another defenseman. Does the group... Oh, message rejected. Said... Does the group think we will get the reigning Norris winner, or is that all just talk? I feel we can't afford him given how many people we need to pay soon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that the Kraken... I mean, like, I would be very excited if the Kraken got him, but I don't feel like they really need to spend a bunch to go get him. It's kind of one of those things where you might as well explore it, but I don't think they're... Personally, if it was me, while it would be exciting if it happened, I think it might be better long-term if they don't overspend for Carlsson, but we'll see what happens. I think it's one of those situations where Ron Francis probably has a price that he's willing to go to, and if it gets past that, he'll just call it good and drop out. Not going to be like it's hard to argue too much with how Vegas did things considering they just won the cup, but probably not a Vegas situation where they'll just do whatever it takes to get the best player that's available at any given time. The Islanders don't get to pick until the second round. Yeah, there's a bunch of teams that aren't picking until the second round. Like the Panthers aren't picking until the second round. I know there's got to be a couple of others because there's a bunch of teams. Like the Blues are picking 3 times. I don't think the Stars pick in the first round. But yeah, the Blues pick 3 times. The Blackhawks pick a couple times. The Coyotes pick a couple of times. Avalanche pick twice late in the first round. Bruins don't pick in the first round. At least not right now anyway. Where do you have Leonard? I think he probably goes like 6th. 6th or 7th, maybe. I don't know. I think he goes pretty early. But again, I didn't do like a mock draft because I don't know. I feel like it's this one. I didn't really have the time to do the mock draft with the little vacation we went on there, but yeah, between not having the time to do the mock draft and just how completely wide open and deep this first round is, once you get past the top, like I said, 7 or 8 picks, it's just hard to really see who's going where. seems like a weak free agent class. Yeah. Yeah, the free agent class does not have much of a top end. There's a bunch of like kind of middle six forwards and kind of second to third pairing defensemen that are available. So like there are guys that are out there like kind of depth. It's a decent depth free agent class, but there's not a lot of the premier targets for this free agency. The one guy, I said this at one of the videos I did towards the end of the season. The one guy that I would really like to see the Kraken get, and I don't think they will because he's probably going back to the team that he started last season with, but that'd be Ryan O'Reilly. I think Ryan O'Reilly would be a perfect fit with what the Kraken need right now, with the ability to do the net, play net front, have that net front presence. The Kraken, it's kind of like the one weakness in their offensive game this last year is their net front was not very consistent. Good 200-foot player. Obviously great in the playoffs, which the Kraken would love to be back there. Great leader, great for the locker room, and probably most importantly for the Kraken, he can actually win faceoffs, which is not something that they've really had for the first couple of seasons. So, all right, here comes Gary. We'll get some bunch of nothing speech from Gary Bettman. Ever since they've announced the next Stadium Series, I focused on that game more than the off season, but that's a good thing for me. Yeah, I'm excited for the Winter Classic in Seattle. That's going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the team currently playing in that stadium is not having a great start to their year, but what can you do? Do you think they'll have to push the start time back to let the Leafs finish their game? No, fortunately, this stream will not be getting pushed back because of a Toronto Maple Leafs playoff game. We did have that quite a bit during the playoff streams. Not this time, though. The Islanders don't have a lot to do in the offseason, especially since they do have $4.5 million left in the cap space they could use. Yeah, I feel like the Islanders kind of have backed themselves into a bit of a corner where they're a good team, but not a great, like not a cup contending team, and they don't really have a lot of flexibility to move things around. I mean, obviously, you're gonna hope that Bo Horvat plays better than he did down the stretch for him, but I'm an East Coast guy, and I don't live far from where they are expecting to hold the next Stadium Series. Well, that's fun. Hopefully you get to go. Yeah, it's one of those things where, from everything I've heard, I've never been to any of the Stadium Series type of games, albeit the Winter Classic, that's for sure. But from everything I've heard, it's not necessarily the best viewing experience, but it is such a fun, unique experience that it's fun to be at those, even if it's not quite as good a viewing as if it's like in their normal home arenas. But usually they have a lot of other like stuff going on around the stadium. Like they got like a mini fair or whatever. Like they've got other events and things going on around the actual like game itself, because they only do 3 outdoor games a year, so they're somewhat unique. Oh, there's a guitar. I have a guitar that looks a lot like that. I've not played it in a while, and it's probably not as nice as that one is. It's definitely not as nice as that one is. And thank you thank you from the bottom of our hearts in Seattle for Ellie Tolvanen. It's much appreciated. You didn't have to, but you know, he's been great and will continue to be great for us, and just thank you very much. We'll get to picking players eventually. 108 Aiden Fink is going number 1. Aiden Fink going number 1, Bedard 2, Fantilli 3. I'm here for it. I'm waiting to see when my name gets called too, you know. This is the 3rd year in a row I've streamed one of these, and look, I might have aged out of it a little bit, but I guess I'm more of a free agent now. I can't actually get drafted, so I have to be called up as an undrafted free agent. Don't know that I can offer much on the ice, but I feel like I could be a good locker room presence for a team, you know? Really offer a lot in that perspective. You know, I've been playing hockey for like, well, 3 years now, if you don't include COVID. Praying for snow on the day of the outdoor game so the nation can see what we do. See that we do get snow and ice here naturally. The Seahawks have played in snow a few times. The Seahawks played in snow in the last home game for Mike Holmgren. I got a little like Chicago Blackhawks section. All right. Gee, do you think they overthink this at all? The Blackhawks are on the clock. Who will they possibly go with? Who could the Chicago Blackhawks possibly pick here with the first overall pick? Is this NHL Network only in the US? No, it's on ESPN in the US. And then streaming wise, that puts it on. I'm watching on YouTube TV. I'm sure it's on Fubo. Yeah, it's on ESPN. So anything that carries ESPN, it's on there, the main channel. So not ESPN Plus, although it is on ESPN Plus as well. But yep, main channel ESPN. Hope we draft some defense this draft class. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll get a couple of defensemen. I certainly wouldn't mind seeing them take one of the defensemen here in the first round. They've made their decision. They had a talk about it. They've only had a month to make the pick that everybody knows they're going to make. Good. Now we got to bring everybody up on the stage. Don't know why we can't just do it like all the other leagues and call in the pick and then the person comes down. But yeah, we gotta bring out like 20 people onto the stage. All right. Here are the Chicago Blackhawks. Oh, good. Now everyone's going to congratulate David Poile on their retirement before making their pick. Nobody likes Vegas. Oh, look at that. The Chicago Blackhawks take Connor Bedard after all. So we'll get that put in. Everyone acts surprised that Connor Bedard gets picked by the Blackhawks. Oh, vases are getting broken in the Bedard house. Or were broken in his childhood, I guess. All right. There it is. No way Connor Bedard gets picked first. Who would have thought? Brock Nelson has been incredible for the team. 30-plus goals in the last uh, 2 seasons. And the 2023 AHL game participant, or All-Star game participant. Yeah. Yeah, the Kraken have some good defense. They just have more forwards. They could use a little bit more as far as the defense, thinking the farm system. But honestly, I've always, and this is true of like pretty much any sport, I'm always for, and especially like the NHL or the MLB, I'm much more of the thought process where you just take the best talent, or it doesn't even, like, whatever the position, just take the best talent. Like the NFL, I think there's a little bit more argument to be made because they do just go right to the team that you maybe pick, like, you do have some amount of picking for position that you need. There it is. Connor Bedard putting on his Blackhawks jersey. How awkward would it be if he just decided he didn't want to be 98? He's like, actually, I kind of want to leave this number in the past. I'd really like to go with something different. Hope we get some defense. Yeah, my cousin led the AJHL in goals and assists and got 5 awards this year. Well, good for him. Unfortunately, Aiden Fink did not go first overall, as Maddie predicted here. But I'm sure we'll see his name get called at some point. Oh yeah, wow, Seahawks with Holmgren. What a time that was. When does it begin? It began at 4 o'clock, but then Gary Bettman had to do a bunch of saying words that I, be honest, I didn't even listen to. They're really spending a lot of time talking about the old GM of the Predators because he's been around forever. But yeah, he talked for like 15 minutes, and then eventually we got to the Blackhawks making their pick at 4:20. That was probably more like 4:19, but I'm just gonna go ahead and prep the fact that Fantilli is gonna get picked here by Anaheim. Oh, their volume mixing could use a little work there. Just gonna say that Fantilli's probably gonna get picked here, and we'll all act surprised again. He won't turn 18 until mid-July. Is Bedard the youngest #1 in NHL draft history? I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but maybe. I feel like when those kind of guys come around, like the Alex Ovechkins, Sidney Crosby's, Connor McDavid, like when those guys come around, they generally know as soon as they're draft eligible, that's when like they're gonna. Well, there you go. The Blackhawks get yet another generational type of player. Shouldn't say yet another. I mean, he has every possibility. If he turns out to be what people expect him to be, he'll be the best player in Blackhawks history, but still. This man being compared to McDavid, Crosby, and Ovechkin combined is just insane. But hey, from his last season in the WHL, makes a ton of sense now. Well, yeah, and he also set all sorts of records and like set them by a lot for the World Juniors. Imagine if the Blackhawks didn't pick Bedard after all those season tickets sold. Yeah, that'd be like 10 times what happened with Shane Wright last year. Like there was at least some rumors that Shane Wright might not go first overall at the start of last year's draft. But there were still a lot of Habs fans that were doing some big coping when they didn't take Shane Wright. Now, obviously, Connor Bedard should be projected to be a much different talent there, but let's make sure. Okay, cool. Well, something I'll talk about here, but Bedard was in fact consensus #1 overall in all of the mock drafts and prospect rankings that I looked up. So not surprising to see him go first overall. The Blackhawks making the correct pick here. And consensus #2, we have Fantilli coming up here, and we'll all act surprised when the Ducks get another very talented player. Imagine if the Blackhawks didn't pick Bedard. Oh, I already said that one, yeah. They didn't pick Bedard. Oh, here we go. The Ducks have made the pick. Get ready to act surprised, everybody. I would be amazed if they did not pick Fantilli here. Do you think that they even bothered print? They have a jersey printed out. So if they like even bothered printing out a jersey with Bedard's name, like just in case the Blackhawks didn't. Oh, they went Leo Carlsson. Well, I guess I have a change to make. Fantilli is probably going to Columbus then. Well, I mean, it's way too early to say, but that is a surprise to be sure. But a welcome one from a Kraken standpoint. Wow. All right, Leo Carlsson goes to the Ducks. Yeah, he is quite a bit bigger. Yeah, he's 18, so it might be a 6'3", 6'3", 200 pounds at 18. So definitely playing in the Swedish HL league. I don't know a bunch about the Swedish depth leagues, but Leo Carlsson, the Swede, headed to the Ducks. Wow. Well, that's a surprise. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Happy to see I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still a very, very good player, and I'm sure he'll be a thorn in Seattle's side in years to come, but boy, really feels like Fantilli. You know, it's all projection, so you never know, but Fantilli was consensus #2 pick. Leo Carlsson was, to be fair, Leo Carlsson was the pretty much consensus number 3. Wheeler from the Athletic had him at 4, but now I wonder if the Blue Jackets had a Leo Carlsson jersey all like printed out and were ready to pick him, or if they're like, oh crap, we gotta change it to Fantilli, guys, get the printing out, get the nameplate printer out. We gotta put this over the current one. How big is Bedard? He's not big. He's like 5'10", I think. That's the one thing that people don't. That's the one drawback, or like the one kind of criticism people have had about Bedard, is that he's 5'10", 185. So he's not big, but again, he's 17, so he still could grow. A little voice crack there. He still could grow a little bit. But I mean, he's put up 100 points in 62 games 2 years ago, and then this last year 143 points in 57 games, 71 goals in 57 games. 71 goals, 72 assists in 57 games for Bedard. So, yeah, Bedard, one of those guys that is just so good that it doesn't matter how he could be like 4'2", and they'd be like, "Yep, he's gonna put the puck in the net. Might get pushed around a little bit, but he's gonna. It's like good enough. He'll just skate around people." Thank you, Anaheim. They didn't pick Bedard. Do you have any thoughts on the Connor McDavid award being one shy of unanimous? Oh my! And it was, of course, like one person from Boston that voted for Pasternak for Hart. Like, it has to be Boston, right? Like, that's one of those things that just like every league has that one team where like they have their media is just so focused on that team being the greatest thing since before sliced bread. Like the greatest thing since we invented the fire. Humans invented the wheel. I don't know. And that's like Boston has like a couple of those that are just like Boston can do no wrong whatsoever. They're probably still convinced that Boston has some way that they're going to win the cup this year, even though it's already been handed out. So yeah, it's one of those things where you just roll your eyes. It's like there's three people that didn't vote Ken Griffey Jr. into the Hall of Fame on his initial ballot because can't be unanimous. Like one of the most obvious Hall of Famers there's ever been can't possibly have him be unanimous because he did things differently. He wore his hat backwards. My goodness, he played in Seattle. That's not a big name market. We can't have a guy from Seattle be the first unanimous Hall of Famer. So there's just it's one of those things that just happens. You just roll your eyes and move on. So do they go Fantilli? Once again, I've put Fantilli at 4, but is this one where Fantilli starts to slide? Although if Fantilli goes past Columbus, then he goes to San Jose. So please just pick Fantilli here, and Will Smith can go to. I mean, there's still 2 very good picks. So San Jose is getting someone good. Here we go. Oh, good. We're congratulating retirement once again. David Poile, yep. He's retired. Good job. Glad we'll get to hear that 32 times or whatever. Oh, good. Now we're inviting the general manager to come up and make the pick. Fantilli. Yep. Thank you, Columbus, for not overthinking it like Anaheim. 6'2", 195 for Fantilli from Michigan. Oh, okay. So now's the interesting one. Is it, do we see Michkov go to the Sharks take the gamble on what the heck is going on with Russia and Michkov, or do they just go play it safe with number 4 and get Will Smith? If I was San Jose, I'd probably take Will Smith. I'd probably go Will Smith if I was San Jose, but we'll see. Michkov is a very good player if you ignore all the red flags about where he's from and what problems that could cause. Thank you, Anaheim. Definitely a surprise. Yeah, Fantilli going to 3. That's definitely a surprise for sure. But as a Kraken fan, I can't say I'm disappointed. Again, Leo Carlsson will probably, should be a very, very good player, so it's not like it's going to be a huge loss or anything, but I'm not disappointed to see Fantilli slide one more spot and avoid the 2 teams in the Pacific. Okay, then Fantilli is a good player. Yeah, Fantilli is a pretty good player. See, Fantilli put up 65 points on 30 goals and 35 assists with Michigan this last year in 36 games. Missed playing with Matty Beniers by 1 year, but and you know what? Good for Fantilli. Like, Columbus is more ready, I think, to. They got just destroyed by injuries this last year. I think they're more ready to start making some competitive, at least runs at like a fringe playoff team next year. Oh, you love to see it. Dad tearing up. Fantilli goes to play with Kent Johnston, also from Michigan. So Columbus gets very good players from the University of Michigan in back-to-back years. High picks. All right, San Jose is up, and this is now where we get the, will it be Will Smith or will it be Matthias Michkov? The top 3 were the top 3, just not quite the order we expected, with Fantilli and Leo Carlsson trading places, but top 3 were the top 3. Michkov has signed a 3-year deal with the KHL too. Yeah, so it's one of those things where like players have ditched the KHL and contracts there to come to the NHL before, so it's not like it would be totally unprecedented for him to just come to the NHL. For example, he really wants to go, from what we've heard, and it would make sense. He really wants to play with the Capitals because Ovechkin's there, and some other other Russian players as well. So like if he does end up slipping to 8, I could definitely see him just screw it to the KHL and come over to the NHL right away. But yeah, it's one of those where it's kind of a risk to take, but he's a very good player, so maybe you take that risk. And honestly, it's not a terrible risk, I think, for San Jose to take, because look, San Jose is not going to be competitive for the next 3 years. So even if Michkov stays in the KHL for 3 more seasons, the Sharks can build a team around when he does eventually come over here, and then they can be ready for him when he gets here and start to be a little bit more competitive then, because it's not like Michkov is going to make the Sharks a very good team or even like a playoff competitive team if he were to come over this year, if they were to pick him in to come over. So that might be one where it's a good one for them to take, where like, and I think Arizona's kind of in that similar spot where Arizona's not going to be competitive for the next 3 years. Heck, we don't even know where Arizona's going to be playing for the next 3 years. But if he doesn't go here to San Jose, I don't think he would go 5 to Montreal, because Montreal is trying to be getting a little bit more competitive and take advantage of that young core that they've got. And I don't think they really want to take a chance on a guy that might not come over for 3 years. Yeah, but it's rough out there. Hope he does well, especially since he's out of our conference. But who's the consensus 27? And there's not a lot. There's one guy that was like almost consensus 21st. Callum Ritchie is like a bunch of people had him at 21. But yeah, once we get outside the top like 7, it's once we get outside the top 7, it gets a little bit more like guys could go all over the place. All right, here's San Jose. I'm going to assume they're going Will Smith here. I'm going to type in Will Smith and be ready for David Poile, not phased at all by the fifth thinking of him. Oh, San Jose congratulating Vegas. So I guess, classy, but I don't think their fans will be too happy about it. Oh, Patrick Marleau making the selection. Yeah, Will Smith. All right. And Will Smith, yeah, he's already committed to BC, so he won't be playing with the Sharks this next year. So again, the Sharks don't really need to worry about a guy that can play right away. All right, so I don't think Michkov goes here. So now who does... I don't think that Montreal is going to take Michkov. Arizona could. If Arizona doesn't... Like, Philadelphia could, and if Philadelphia doesn't, then he definitely could end up with the Capitals. I think that got saved in there. So Will Smith should be popping up there on the little scroller. Hopefully it is. Let me make sure it is. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Just takes so long for it to show up on the stream. All right. So who do we take? Who do you guys think is going here to? Who's going here to Montreal? We've got it could be Michkov. Maybe Montreal still goes Matthias Michkov or Matvei Michkov. I don't know how to say Matthias. That's not the right name, not the right nationality, but Matvei Michkov could be David Reinbach, or David Reinbach, Ryan Leonard. One of those two, probably. Reinbach or Leonard. See what they're getting in the Sharks. Will Smith again headed to Boston College. That's not the right Will Smith. This the right Will Smith? I don't know. Maybe we're gonna go to elite prospects. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So yeah, Will Smith headed to Boston College. So Kraken will have to deal with him next year, but the year after that probably. Still, I don't think the Sharks are. They're probably a couple years from being competitive. So. Good looking jersey. Will Smith going riding with the name, leaning into it. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and they just made him recite the first little bit of it on air. He's like, oh, right now on camera? They're like, why not? It's ESPN. It's like, that's a good reason why not. It's exactly the reason I was thinking why not. Thank you very much. Okay, then Fantilli is a good player. Michkov, yeah. It'll take time for them to back in the swing of things. Yeah. Leonard would be good fit for the Habs. Yeah. I think they'll go Leonard here, but we'll see. Maybe they go Reinbach. Can't believe they're getting the Fresh Prince. All right, let's see here. William Smith, Boston College. All right, this is the one we're looking for. So he's been playing with the US 18 development program. Let's see. At the USHL juniors, he put up 42 points in 20 games. With the U.S. national U18 team, he put up 127 points in 60 games. The USA U18 World Juniors, he put up 20 points in 7 games. So the U18 World Juniors. Yeah, headed to Boston College. Here come the Montreal Canadiens. There's some rumors that they were not going to take Michkov anyway if he did fall to them. So I'd be a little surprised if they take Michkov, but you know, he's not necessarily hugely surprised. But we'll see who they go here. Is it David Reinbacher? Or is it Ryan Leonard? How good. The boos are still pouring in for Vegas. Oh. And fighting up another Montreal Canadiens 5th overall pick in Carey Price. Uh-oh, he forgot his name. David Reinbacher. Oh, poor Carey Price. He forgot his name, got flustered. Hopefully he doesn't beat himself up too much for that. That sucks, but they go David Reinbacher. All right, so David Reinbacher heading to Montreal. And now we get 3 picks where it could end up being Michkov in one of these next 3 picks. Any one of them, I think you could make some sense of it. Again, Arizona is such an unknown anyway. Like, why not, right? Just pick a talented guy. And Arizona needs 3 years to figure out what that franchise is even where it's gonna play. So might as well let your guy play in the KHL for those 3 years. Will Smith had a sense of humor about the whole thing. Yeah, that was good to see from Will Smith. He can center Gaudreau. Oh yeah, for Fantilli. Yeah, the Blue Jackets could be good here in a little bit. Got Gaudreau, Fantilli, Kent Johnston, Line if they can keep him. Leonard would be a good fit for the Habs. Yeah, I went Reinbacher. Oh, I think I already read that one. Sending him to his aunt and uncles in San Jose. I'm sure that's only the 500,000th time that that's been mentioned. Glad Will Smith has a sense of humor. Happy about it. Were the Blackhawks booed? Yes, the Blackhawks were booed quite loudly. Not surprising in Nashville. I think they would have been booed about it anywhere, but a division rival, they were... Yes, there was some loud boos for the Blackhawks. Almost as loud as Bettman's boos, but not quite. Yeah. All right, we got a bit of a commercial break here. How are we feeling? How are we feeling about this so far? So we got Arizona's up here next. Could see Michkov going there. Michkov is going to go in one of these next 3 picks. It's just whether or not he makes it to the Capitals. And we could have other than Michkov, Ryan Leonard is probably the next best pick. And then you got like Zach Benson could go there. Axel, Sandin, Pellikka. I might not pronounce all these right. Definitely another guy that could end up going. But we're starting to get into an area where you could see some teams maybe reach down into some guys that were maybe more projected towards the teens. Maybe Matthew Wood, Colby Barlow. I would be a little bit surprised, but it's possible. Dalibor Dvorsky be another one. Kraken going behind the blue line for their first pick or just best available. I'd like to see them go best available, but I wouldn't mind seeing them take a defenseman. And it's very possible a defenseman could be best available. We'll see. I think it'll be. It's one of the, personally, I would kind of maybe it wouldn't be a bad thing for them to take a defenseman. Again, this draft is so deep and it's so hard to really tell. I mean, all the players are like there's first round talent all the way through like the middle of the second round. So it's hard to go really that wrong where the Kraken are picking. So you might as well pick a defenseman since you never know for sure, obviously, with any of these players. But especially in that section, it's not like there's a big drop off around where the Kraken are and that they, even if they do like based on what's what people have been doing in mock drafts and stuff, even if they reach down a few picks or like something like that, it's still, again, like I said, found 10 from like some of the bigger like media sources and stuff for hockey. I found 10 draft rankings and mock drafts, and out of them there were 47 players that were taken at least on one of those in the first round. So there's quite a bit of depth here that it wouldn't be shocking to see just about anybody go there. And yeah, I wouldn't mind them going defenseman if it's all things equal. Wouldn't mind seeing the Kraken go defense. Fans still booing Vegas. There was definitely some heckling. You couldn't hear it, but there was definitely some background heckling there for the Coyotes. Oh, Dmitri Simashev. Okay. Wow. Okay, that is a bit of a reach. All right. Again, this is such a deep draft. It's hard to say for sure, but that seems like a bit of nobody had him going 6th overall. That was one of the guys that some people were saying the Kraken could end up going with. They were kind of thinking he'd be down there. Big defenseman. Wow, okay. Coyotes continuing to do strange and curious things, but again, this is a deep enough draft where who knows, but yeah, that leaves. Now you kind of think Philadelphia probably goes Ryan Leonard and Michkov goes to. Michkov does end up going to DC. And then you got Detroit there as well. So now who falls to Detroit then? So if you go Ryan Leonard to Philadelphia and Michkov to DC, then yeah, maybe Sandin Pellikka goes to Detroit. He looks he was so surprised. He's like, "Wait, what?" He was sitting in his seat like he was ready to get comfortable for another like hour or so and just kind of wait till the middle of the round, maybe not hour, but like he's ready to be comfortable for another half an hour, 45 minutes in that seat, and then all of a sudden, whoa, wait, that was my name. They didn't just say my name, right? Dmitri Simashev, big defenseman, big Russian defenseman. Well, Arizona continues to surprise people. Let's see what Simashev has done. So let's see. Russia's U18. Obviously, there's some issues with not a lot to go off there, but let's see. In the KHL, he played 18 games in the KHL this last year, so all right, he's got some big time pro experience. No points in 18 games, but he's a defenseman. The MHL, which is kind of the next tier down from the KHL, 10 points in 29 games, 6 points in the playoffs. So he had a good playoffs in the MHL. So yeah, definitely a big guy, 6'4", 200 pounds almost. All right. Coyotes' first reach of the draft, but we'll see. You never know. Obviously, sometimes you end up with those drafts like Cale Makar slipping down, and you redraft that, he probably goes first overall. Hey, it was a long time since they were serious Stanley Cup contenders. And I think the Habs fans just want to see the team was before their current struggles. Yeah, the Habs definitely looking for a guy that they could put in and start having him play some games. Hope the Flyers get Leonard. I think they probably will at this point. He's definitely the best player left from everything I've seen, which I'm not going to say I'm a prospect expert by any means, but based on the things that I've read and stuff over the last little bit here and over the course of the season, I would say Leonard looks like he's the best guy left for sure, and probably was for this last pick. But well, I shouldn't say that. Michkov is definitely the highest touted, but again, you got all the questions of KHL for 3 years and Russia and all that. So the Coyotes, even when going back to being an original Jets, we've been being a questionable franchise. They've been a questionable franchise. All right, here go the Flyers. They had a pretty quick choice. I'm going to assume it's Ryan Leonard. Alrighty. Here are the Flyers. We'll congratulate the. Oh, they're thanking Nashville for hosting. Oh, that one's fair. Oh yeah, gotta thank David Poile. Oh, David Poile liked that joke. Oh, he didn't. No congratulations to Vegas from Philadelphia. Oh, they went Michkov. They went Michkov. Washington Capitals in shambles. All right, Matvei Michkov. Philadelphia. I don't know if he was he was one away from getting to play with Ovechkin too. So I think he's like happy, but trying to put on a face maybe a little bit. Interesting that. All right, so let's see. What has Michkov done this last year in the KHL? KHL, he played 27 games, got 20 points, 9 goals, 11 assists. Did not play much in the MHL. Played in the MHL playoffs, where he had 7 points in 5 games. Lots of penalty minutes. Lots of penalty minutes in the playoffs. I don't know what happened there. All right, Michkov going to the moment of silence for the Mariners season. Yeah, after the fun that was last year. Granted, it was about this time last year. We were kind of like, great, another wasted year of the Mariners not going to the playoffs. Michkov looking very serious. You know, he's thinking like, I wanted to play with Ovechkin. You could have just picked freaking Ryan Leonard, and I'd be playing with Ovechkin. It's not even All-Star break. Yeah, like there's plenty of time for the Mariners to turn this thing around. They're still hovering around 500, so it's not like they've just totally tanked. They're just mediocre, and there's already been a lot of wasted potential, a lot of blown games. So it's a team that's good enough to turn this season around. We'll just see whether or not they can do it. It's not looked hopeful so far. Who knows if it turns out to be better, but Leonard is also going to Boston College. Yeah, but I mean the Flyers aren't trying to win right away. Oh, okay. Said, when do you think he'll come to the NHL? And he said, quite soon. It's my dream to be there. All right. So who knows? Maybe Michkov will come over. Yeah, the Capitals fans in shambles. We got any Capitals fans in here? Capitals fans in shambles.
So again, just him being there and
Loves the Caps to get Leonard. Well, I think Leonard will probably go here. I can't imagine he slips too much farther, but who knows? Again, that's why this draft is a wild card past the top a little bit. We're starting to now get into the territory where we could see some more of those kind of like eyebrow raising, like, oh, okay. Again, it's so deep that it's not even necessarily like. I think if we saw a new name that isn't one of those 47 that I was saying was picked. We're starting like Ryan Leonard, Zach Benson, Sandin, Axel, Sandin, Pellikka. There's still plenty of very good guys. Colby Barlow's taken in the top 10 on a couple of these lists, so scouts and pundits did expect Michkov to drop due to the unfortunate events caused in his, yeah, there's just a lot of unknowns around the, not only the fact that he's with the KHL or signed a contract for 3 years in the KHL, but also the difficulties politically of getting in and out of Russia. Obviously, he was able to get out of Russia to come to the draft, and he's not the only one. The guy taken right before him also from Russia, so. Yeah, lots of unknowns, obviously, for the Flyers because of the unknowns of what's going on in Russia. They'd probably like to have him over here sooner rather than later just because that gives them a little bit more control of their whether or not he's safe and all that kind of stuff. So the Capitals go Ryan Leonard now that he's still available. Here are the Capitals. Oh, good. And the Capitals using their secondary logos, the big one on the screen. I don't know if they chose that, but their primary logo is stupid and I hate it. Good. Oh, yeah, I guess he was with the Capitals for a long time, so that makes sense for them to acknowledge Poile. Oh, they did not waste much time. Ryan Leonard is the selection. Ryan Leonard is the selection for the Capitals. It's very interesting. Like those are Those are two guys. A lot of people would have flopped those. That Michkov fit perfectly with the Capitals and Leonard fit perfectly with the Flyers, but here we are. They end up in the opposite situation. So just goes to show you can't predict anything. I don't mind the Caps font logo, but the Weagle is legendary. I don't know. It's just so boring. Like I don't mind it as a secondary logo, the one they have as their primary, because like every team has the kind of type font logo. Like the Kraken have the typed out Kraken and all that as a like a one of their logos they use on some things. But I don't know. I just as a primary logo, I'm not a huge fan of it. How many draft prospects do you genuinely know about? I feel like I only ever know the top name, i.e. Bedard. Um, I mean, I don't follow junior hockey a ton, so like intimately know like a scout hardly any of them. Like Bedard, you heard enough about that you kind of know. Other than that, it's I only know what I've read in some videos I've watched over the last few days, and what I've heard over the course of the season. Like some guys have moved up and some guys have moved down here and there, but really genuinely no, not a ton of them. Like I'm not, you know, haven't done a lot of the scouting, I guess, but also it's one of those things where like drafts are fun, but there's only so much you can really know for sure, especially with hockey. They're drafting from all sorts of different leagues, all sorts of different development. It's like development processes, whether it's the like U.S. development team plays in a different situation than like the OHL players or the WHL players, or obviously guys coming from Sweden overseas, like the guys that are playing in Sweden and Russia. They're going to be playing in maybe even pro leagues up there. So all the numbers look different. It's so hard to really know how different players compare from all these different areas that they're coming from. Never mind like playing from different teams. Like it's enough of a unknown with like football when all those guys are playing in the NCAA. But even there, you know, you're playing on different teams, and who knows if a guy that's been good on a bad team is better than a good guy that's good, like slightly better on a better team. Drafts are such a crapshoot for the most part that it's I don't know. But I will believe them when they say that the talent in this draft is very good and very deep. And because of how unknown it feels like, especially now that we're getting to, you know, pick. Now that we're getting to pick like 9 and 10, getting into these later picks. Now that we're in those, yeah, I don't know. Now we're starting to get into the area that's a little bit more unknown. T-Birds, Grayson, Sachin goes in the first or second round. Seen him as high as 25, as low as 66. I feel like, look again. I could see it going either way. I think the T-Birds had such a good year that there's a pretty good chance that he goes late in the first round. But if I had to put money on it, I would say that he goes kind of early-ish second round, like top 10 in the second round. We'll see. Again, I think this draft is so deep, and just by virtue of, you know, I did the same thing for the last two drafts, and you know, I read up on what all the experts are saying on all these guys, and it's so much of this year seems so much of like once kind of from where we're at right now through almost the end of this first round and even into the second round, it just everybody has different thoughts on like they might have a general like kind of within 10 picks that they think a player will be, but even that might be asking a lot. So it's anything could happen, I think, from here on out. I give me Kraken a future outlook. All right, here we go. Pick is in for Detroit, and they are getting ready to announce it. I have a feeling Zach Benson's going to be the pick, but I don't know why. Nope, Nate Danielson. Wow. All right. Blackhawks know what they want, so again, based on what scouts and all that are saying, maybe not the best talent still available, but again, it could go horse saying that you never know with these guys. So maybe a bit of a surprising pick there. Some guys starting to slip a little bit from where they might have been expected, but kind of Axel, Sandin, Pellikka is still one that he and Zach Benson are kind of the next two that are could keep going. We also haven't seen a trade yet. No trades, which is I guess this draft is like all these players are good enough that nobody really is super eager to trade up. Again, there's not really a big drop off talent wise now for quite a while. Wow, he does look very young. Kraken future is bright. Yeah, it's a bright future for the Kraken for sure. They've got one of the better farm systems in the NHL, already have a deep team. They don't necessarily have like a super big superstar uh, active. I mean, that's actually there right now. They've got a couple guys that I think could get there. Matty Beniers can certainly get there. You know, Shane Wright plays into his potential. He could get there. Riker Evans is definitely going to get a good chance, obviously. So we'll see. I think it's a bright future for the Kraken. They'll certainly be a team that's going to be competing for the playoffs for the foreseeable future, and that's ultimately what you want. You get in, you never know what could happen. Even if they have to pick up a superstar via trade eventually, that's certainly a possibility. Again, with the farm system as deep as the Kraken have, they may need to end up trading some prospects that it'll be a bummer to see go if and when it happens. But this is the first of 3 picks for the Blues. Do they actually make the pick? They can't trade up anymore, obviously, so could the Blues trade this pick for a player? Because the Blues, I don't think, are terribly interested in staying in this top 10 selecting spot again next year. Still in a rebuilding phase, says Yzerman. Still in a rebuilding phase. Hoping to be competitive sooner rather than later. We'll see. See what the Red Wings. I don't know why I'm saying Flyers there. Ryan Leonard didn't quite make it to him. Hockey farm systems, like minor league teams in baseball. Yeah, but not as extensive. Baseball farm systems are much more extensive. So it's like so basically a team can have 50 players under contract of some kind, whether that's a minor league contract or major league contract, and then they can have up to 90 players that they have the rights for, which is so then if you have 50 guys under contract of some kind, you can have another 40 that are X draft picks that you have the rights to, that no other team can just go and claim as a free agent. And nobody ever really caps out the 90. The 50 does get capped out every now and then. The Toronto Maple Leafs actually capped it out this last year. So that does happen, but yeah, we're like baseball has tons and tons of just a very, very deep farm systems, where with hockey, you've got every team has an AHL affiliate, and then most teams have an ECHL or that kind of affiliate there. So it's not quite like baseball where you have AAA, AA, single A, high A, low A. I don't know. All the different baseball teams, that farm teams that so they're in the baseball. So, but there is a farm system. It's not non-existent like you have with the NFL, with football. I don't actually know if the NBA. I don't think the NBA has a farm system, but I could be wrong about that. I don't really know. I'm hoping for O'Reilly to be a Kraken. You and me both. I think he'd be perfect. Can you explain how arbitration works? Oh, 1 second. Blues are... All right. The Blues wasted no time. They got on the stage and made the pick. That's what you like to see. It's what Ron Francis did with Shane Wright last year. Just get up, make the pick. They go with Dalibor Dvorsky, Swedish player there. Very good with the puck on his stick. Lots of possession time in the World Juniors. So, second Swede on the board already. And now we're definitely in the range of players that could go just about anywhere. I guess we still have like Zach Benson and Axel, Sandin, Pellikka still go anywhere. Oh, he's not Swedish. They have him as a Swede on the thing, but I don't know if he is. No, he's not Swedish. I don't know why they have Swede there. Oh, maybe that's a different acronym. He's not Swedish. He's Slovakian. All right, that makes more sense. I was like, I don't remember him being Swedish, but Slovakian, excuse me. I got it wrong. Arbitration. Offer sheets. Basically, a player can, like, so it's all with RFAs. If RFA, a player's an RFA, then they can be given an offer sheet or a qualifying offer by the team that they currently are with. So, like, Vince Dunn is an RFA, so the Kraken can give him a qualifying offer. And then once they're qualifying, if they're given a qualifying offer, then the team still has the rights with that player. The player can either accept that qualifying offer or choose to go to arbitration with the team, and that's assuming that a contract doesn't get done. Because essentially, like, if Vince Dunn gets a qualifying offer, then that's just the Kraken buying more time to actually negotiate a contract with Vince Dunn. But hypothetically speaking, it could go, if the team and the player can't agree on a contract, then the player can choose to go to arbitration, where then a judge or a third party after hears both sides, and then they decide what the player is worth, and then the team has to basically pay that. There's like, oh well, they gave him a qualifying offer, and then the judge basically tells them what they have to pay the player. The other possibility is that a team can offer sheet them, and if the team that they're with doesn't match the offer sheet, if I remember that right, then that team can basically claim them via offer sheet if the team isn't willing to match what was offered. If I remember that right. There's a bunch of other things here and there which hopefully won't come into play. I can do a video on that at some point, like an NHL 101, and dive a little bit more in depth with it. I do plan on doing one I probably do it before next year, so might still be a ways out, but I will do one at some point on the different minor leagues and where these players are getting drafted from. Probably could have done it before this year's draft, but I'll do it maybe before next year's. I actually lost concentration. I didn't see the Wings pick with their 9th pick. They got Nate Danielson. Vancouver Canucks are on the clock. Go Kraken, go Hawks, go Sonics in 2026. I'm here for it. Bring the Sonics back. I love hockey, but there's one thing, like, hockey is definitely a more entertaining game than basketball. I mean, maybe baseball too, but definitely a more fun game to watch than basketball, at least in my opinion anyway. But there's no denying that the NBA is from a league standpoint, a better run league than the NHL is. The NHL just constantly gets in its own way. It has absolutely no idea how to market itself, while the NBA, every now and then they make some questionable decisions, as any big conglomeration of different businesses that are billion-dollar value businesses. When there's that much money, you're going to have some questionable things happening. It's unfortunately the way things are. But they don't really get in their way a ton. They're pretty forward-thinking when it comes to stuff. In general, they very much know how to advertise themselves. So the NBA is just way ahead of the NHL when it comes to how they're run as a league. And it'd be fun to have that back in Seattle. Even if I would much rather watch hockey and would definitely continue to follow the Kraken first and foremost on the channel. I'd love to do some videos here and there about like the Mariners and the Seahawks. I will say there's some aspect of like it's really fun doing all this stuff about the Kraken and following them so closely and kind of treating it as like a job as hockey media sort of. But it is kind of fun having the Mariners and Seahawks as more of like just being a true fan and not. Oh, okay. They went with the defenseman. That was a guy that some people had falling to the Kraken. He does not. Tom Willander. That was one guy I was kind of hoping would fall to the Kraken. So unfortunately he does end up going to the rival in the Canucks. Arizona gets their 2nd pick now. Yeah, a little bit of a bummer there. That's definitely a guy I would have liked to see come to the Kraken, but it is what it is. Department of Player Unsafety. Hey, just wanted to say I'm a new hockey fan and your videos helped a ton. Can't wait to see what my jackets do with Fantilli. Yeah, you know what? I think it's an exciting time to be a Blue Jackets fan. I would say a hopeful time. Like this last season was definitely disappointing for the Blue Jackets, but I think there's a lot of talent on that team, and as long as they can stay healthy, I think that could be a very exciting team to watch. It would maybe help them if they would just go to the Cannon jersey full time. That might be coming when they do eventually go to what was it, 2024, 25, when they go to, maybe they're saying it was 25, 26 when Fanatics is going to have the like rebranding of some teams maybe. So it might be still a couple years out, but if they go to the Cannon jersey full time, I think that would really help the Blue Jackets as well. It certainly wouldn't hurt. That being said, the Ducks won their Stanley Cup with one of the ugliest jerseys anybody's ever worn. And the Kings won 2 Stanley Cups with a baseball home plate on their chest and still wear it, so. But glad to hear the 101s help. Definitely got a couple more of them coming. Got the face-off ones out, so first 101 in a while. Managed to get that out here a little bit ago. Hasn't quite picked up the steam, but that's the 101s tend to not get a ton of views right out the gate, and then they collect them over time. So let's try and get some of those more evergreen style videos out here. Saw a few Kraken games in the playoffs. I appreciate how the Kraken can be watched on YouTube TV along with the Seahawks. Yeah, that was just for the playoffs, unfortunately. The Kraken are on Fubo for the regular season, but it's another problem, which that's a problem that is shared by the NBA, and really everything that isn't the NFL have the blackout issues and hard to sometimes watch your local team unless you have cable. So hopefully the end of that is coming soon. But the playoffs, they make the playoffs easy to watch. So yeah, the Kraken are on YouTube TV for the playoffs. And assuming they make the playoffs again, they'll be on YouTube TV again for the playoffs. Expansion team will be announced by Adam Silver after the season. Well, didn't their season end? I mean, I'd love to see them announce the team. There's been rumors about it. I've multiple times over the last couple of years, I've heard rumors saying that Seattle will get an expansion team by 2025, so suppose it could happen in the next couple of years. Still got time for that. Department of Unplayer Safety, I think I read that one. Hey, just wanted to say, oh, he's read that one. It's been 19 years since the NBA last expanded. Well, that is until the Hornets reclaimed history in 1988 to the 2002 Hornets. And do I detect a Steve Dangle listener? Sounds like a lot of their talking points. I mean, I do listen to that podcast every now and then, but I think that was in reference to the NHL doesn't know how to market. It's just a fact. The NHL is so far behind. They used to be a more popular, bigger league than the NBA. The NBA is much younger, obviously, but so yeah, I mean it's. I think I have heard them say a similar thing, that the NHL just doesn't know how to market itself and is always getting in its own way, and they're not wrong. Like it's just, unfortunately, it's the way it is, and it's probably not going to change until Gary Bettman steps aside in one way or another. And look, the NBA definitely has the advantage of that basketball is just an easier and cheaper game to play, whether it's. Oh, Daniel Boot. All right. They wasted no time, came up and made the pick. Another pick that's a bit of a reach. For the second time, the Coyotes take a guy a little bit earlier than was expected, but Another eyebrow raising pick from the Coyotes, but again, we're in that window now for the rest of this first round, and then for a good chunk of tomorrow. That's just kind of like I mean, once you get to the later rounds, it's kind of like who knows who anybody's going to take. But this is I feel like you can't totally blame the NHL for their stars not being as popular as the NBA. Hockey is a more regional sport. Players are only on the ice for a fraction of the game, and yeah, I mean, like you can't blame people for being themselves, and I don't think like I don't think you can blame like McDavid. Just McDavid is McDavid, and he's not a personality that's going to be like he's not a personality that's going to be as marketable as like LeBron or that kind of a thing. I mean, heck, the MLB has been, MLB tried a long time with Mike Trout to make him kind of the face of baseball, but again, he's just not. He's not the charismatic media or like face of a league type of guy. Not like, I mean, Julio Rodriguez definitely could be that in baseball at some point. But then it's on the league to like find some players that you can lean into that a bit. Like lean into Trevor Zegras, for example. Lean into him. Lean into some of the younger guys that are coming up and are exciting to watch, and have those personalities, and encourage guys to show their personalities, and not doing the, not trying to discourage the stuff of like showing like the gotta do things the right way and gotta always give the textbook vanilla answers. I don't know. I think there's like you don't want to force guys to be people they're not, but there's enough players in the league. There's going to be some guys that have personalities you can highlight. Again, like Zegras is definitely one. And also creating a culture in the sport that isn't going to like squash personality and just make everybody a cookie cutter vanilla personality that can play hockey. I don't know. And it is somewhat regional, but again, it could grow. Hockey is I don't think there's another sport I can like think of that I've ever seen so much of someone like watches hockey for the first time, especially goes to a game for the first time, and then it's like, wow, where has this game been all like this is awesome. Where has this all like been? And it's one of those things where it's like there are tons of people out there that would be hockey fans that just have never given it a chance because they just don't think about it because why would they think about it? It's never put in front of them. So I don't know. Definitely part of that was leaving ESPN when they did in the early 2000s and going only with going only with NBC Sports for so long. And like NBC Sports did fine they eventually got to a point where they did really well with their production, but they just did not advertise the league, and the league has to do some of that itself. But and it's big enough in Canada. I mean, Canada, it's kind of like how you're never gonna get hockey to be as big in the States as football. I mean, hockey is in Canada what football is in the US. So you're never gonna get there, but there's no reason that the hockey couldn't grow at least a fraction of as quickly as the NBA has grown over the last couple of decades. And instead, hockey's kind of stagnated a bit over the last couple of decades while the NBA is just taken off. And now, like, I mean, the MLS is going to pass them if they're not careful as far as popularity. And that's, I mean, look, it's still the most fun game to watch. So from the standpoint of enjoying it as somebody who's already a fan, it's not going to, how many other people enjoy it isn't going to affect how much I enjoy it. But it is kind of frustrating just knowing that the potential is there and that it's kind of being wasted by the league. So I don't know. And there's definitely some frustrating things. Like now they're just trying to they're trying to get away from all this drama with the hockey is for everyone. Like let's call it what it is. They're trying to get away from the rainbow jersey drama by just saying, all right, we'll do no special jerseys. Because obviously that was the correct move to make. Like, who knows if that's going to actually stick. There's been a lot of backlash. I mean, that's enough of a thing that Connor McDavid actually came out and said that this was it's a bad move when even Connor McDavid is willing to like put his opinion out there. So I don't know. All right, the Buffalo Sabres get Zach Benson. Definitely a guy that had started to slip a ways, and they might have gotten a bit of a steal there with Benson falling a bit. Zach Benson. So one of those two guys higher up on the average as far as where people projected him to be. It started to slip a little bit. Another one, Axel, Sandin, Pellikka is still up there. I don't know that he'll slip all the way to the Kraken, but maybe. One second here. I'm trying to. There we go. So Zach Benson was, based on the ones I found, he was average picked 11th. All right. There we go. So Zach Benson. Matthew Wood is another guy that was taken pretty high up pretty frequently. Still available. A player can't will a team to do a championship like in basketball. Yeah, basketball, because of how much more players play, it definitely what am I looking for? Promotes more like a few stars and that kind of thing, which honestly I feel like that's something that should play into hockey's favor of how any team can win, because with the NBA, and maybe this year was a bit of a exception to this, where the Heat as an 8 seed made it to the finals. But the NBA, like 9 out of 10 years, you can go into the season and you know that the two teams in the finals are going to be two of a pool of like 5 or 6 teams. You immediately know that like 20 plus teams in the NBA just don't have a chance of winning it. And that's not, I mean, like the NHL, there's going to be favorites. Any league, there's going to be favorites, but the NHL is much more open than that, I feel. So I think the superstars thing, every league has its superstars. And look, the NFL has so many players, and yeah, quarterbacks can carry it, but the NFL has no problem marketing a cornerback. Like think, I mean, shoot, just in Seattle, like Richard Sherman, how he was everywhere, constant, and he's a cornerback. He's not. It's literally his job to make sure he isn't involved in that many plays. And for the back half of his career, nobody threw at him, so he's basically just out there chasing a receiver with the ball never going towards him, and yet he's still one of the faces of the league. So again, with quarterbacks, you can kind of make the argument that that guy's, again, maybe more of a difference maker than any player would be, other than maybe a goaltender in the NHL. But even then, probably more even than a goaltender. So, well, there you go with the goaltenders. Like, yeah, you can. How about like Marc-Andre Fleury? The NHL could definitely have marketed Marc-Andre Fleury a bit more, and maybe he doesn't want that, but I don't know. Right, that's why I can't stand basketball. It's so predictable. I don't want the NHL to ever reach a point where it's always... Yeah, I don't think the NHL will. Just by the virtue of how hockey is, I don't think the NHL ever could. And I don't think that basketball... I mean, honestly, I think basketball is becoming more and more popular in spite of how predictable it is. I don't think it's popular in any way because of how predictable it is. I think it's they're managing to market it in spite of how predictable the NBA is. Because they just do a good job of marketing personalities. They do a good job of marketing the upsides of the games. You know, the NHL just doesn't market itself. It's not even that it's not even that the NHL markets itself poorly. It's so that they don't market themselves for the most part. And so then the only things that somebody that doesn't follow the NHL is going to hear is when something controversial happens. So if the only exposure to a league is when something controversial happens, why would you bother giving it a, trying? Oh, there he is making the Penguins pick. Kyle Dubas. Brayden Yager is going to the Penguins. The first selection of Kyle Dubas outside of Toronto. All right. Yager going to... Again, we're definitely now in this point where guys are just going all over the board. Yager's another guy that was maybe more down towards the low teens than the high to mid teens, but Brayden Yager. Let's see, what do we got here? NHL has the best playoffs in professional leagues. College basketball, arguably better, but not pro. Yeah, college basketball is fun just because, again, it's so chaotic with the one. There's 32 or 64 teams. There's so many teams, and because it's single elimination, it makes it a lot more entertaining. That you can have the Cinderella stories because every game means so much. So yeah, like NCAA basketball, you're never going to be able to make a pro playoff that's quite like that. But yeah, as far as the pro sports are concerned, the NHL is the best playoffs by far. Especially if you get to go to a game. Oh my goodness. That having been to playoff NFL games, playoff baseball games, and playoff NHL is by far the best. And look, that's not to say that playoff baseball and playoff football aren't great. I mean, both, especially spoiled that I have gotten to watch them in Seattle, where the fan atmosphere is always great, regardless of the sport. But getting loud because Nashville's on the clock. That was usually the case back in the NHL. The original 6 era was dominated by 3 of those 6. Yeah, because that was back in that era. The teams got their talent from where the team was. There was no draft. It was literally like, oh, guys from Toronto, he's going to go play with the Maple Leafs. Guys from Montreal, he's going to go play with the Canadiens. So that's, when that's, especially with most of the best players being Canadian, that was going to be those were going to be the best teams. And then Boston had good years and Detroit had some good years, and Detroit's close enough to Toronto. Yeah, so that was for a different reason, but the Habs and Leafs being the big threats and the Wings being the only U.S. team that was a big threat. Yeah. With the Habs and Leafs uh, being, just like I said, being the biggest threats in the original six, and the Detroit being the biggest U.S. team. Yeah. WWE is purely scripted and often predictable too, but still popular in the end. Yeah, but I think with WWE, that's the kind of thing where like people, well, I shouldn't say most people know what they're getting with the WWE. Like it's pure over the top, theatrically done entertainment. Like it's purely entertainment for the sake of entertainment. It's not it's really not trying to be anything else. Like they act like it's real, but everyone knows everyone with two brain cells to rub together knows that it's scripted for the most part. Like every now and then a stunt goes wrong or something like that, and they kind of have to improvise a bit, but for the most part it's scripted, and everyone knows that going in, and it's just fun because it's entertainment. I mean, movies are scripted and we still watch those, so it's not, that's a different thing. I think of the WWE as more of like an athletic play than anything else. Hey Scott, nice seeing you last time I was here. Was that the last game of Seattle? Good to see you as well. Yeah, it's always fun seeing people at the games. If you guys ever see me at a game, obviously not going to be until, well, we just got the schedule, so I think the first home game for the Kraken is the 17th of October. First away game in Vegas. I think the Kraken are going to be playing, first team playing Vegas. Oh, they got David Poile up there, even though he's the ex-GM. All right. There's Matthew Wood. Another guy that kind of slipped a little bit, so the Predators get maybe a bit of a steal there. And we're getting closer to Seattle's pick. Still no trades. No draft day trades, anyway. But as soon as they started to bring more teams, this is going past the original six. That was when things got competitive. Yeah, because they started to spread out talent. And again, they introduced the draft eventually. They introduced free agency and contracts eventually. And they expanded so fast that they kind of like things had to kind of get a little wacky. And even there, for a few years, it was still the original six teams that were kind of dominating things for the most part. At least for another couple of years, but so Matthew Wood to Nashville. That is not the right Matthew Wood. That guy's a goaltender. This is the right Matthew Wood. Ah, yes, UConn. All right. Played for University of Connecticut this last year. Almost a point per game guy. Man, that's gotta be like the most fun place to get picked is to be picked by the team who's picking at home. Never mind that he's the 15th overall pick. They're excited like he's the first overall. Gotta love it. Do they have another pick? Yeah, they pick again at 25 or at 24 if there's no trades. So Nashville has a second pick here in the first round, as we are about to hit the halfway point here. Do you think we'll trade our pick. I don't think the Kraken will trade out of the first round, especially because they have 3 second-round picks already. I can't imagine they'll trade out of the first round. I could see them trading a couple second-round picks to maybe move back up into the late first round, but I don't see the Kraken trading out of the first round. This isn't a John Schneider run organization. And heck, even Kyle Dubas didn't trade down with the first pick of the Penguins. My unrealistic dream for this draft was to have Bedard fall to us at 20, kind of like Wright did last year. Now I don't know who I want. Maybe Sandin Pellikka. Yeah, if he's still sliding, if he falls to the Kraken, I would happily have the Kraken take Pellikka. Yeah, like remember when the Canadiens first played professional hockey in 1909? They were the loyalty type of team based in French-speaking players. Yep. All right, Flames are on the clock, and I'm going to take a quick break right here real quick, but I'll throw up this... No, we'll just leave it on here for a second. So I'll be back in 1 second. Flames on the clock, and Kraken up in just a few more picks. Be back in a bit. All right, we're back. Appreciate everyone for joining, by the way. Got a few of us in here. I was thinking John Schneider. He left us, chat. We went for milk like dad. He just went for milk like dad. I'm back, don't worry. I didn't return with any milk, though, so... Got 2 guys talking at once here. The Flames are up there. All right. Flames to go into the full speech route like they're picking in the top 3. Fortunately, we'd started to get some teams that just came up and made their picks, but the Flames wanted to have their time in the spotlight. Samuel Honzek. All right. Another Slovakian player going here. And now Detroit back up with another pick, but Honzek. So that's another pick with Sandin Pellikka still there. Quentin Musty is another guy that I've seen some people say the Kraken could go for a forward there, so a little different, but some guys still on the board. Colby Barlow still there. Started to slip a little bit. Oliver Moore. Axel, Sandin, Pellikka, like we mentioned. Gabriel Perreault. So in the future history of hockey video, you left off with the potential of that 19-year-old kid, but now we will reveal the legend. Reveal the legend, which so happens to be the eventual great. I mean, that video go out first. I'm gonna say it. Yeah. So the next one will be the next Hockey of History video will be the lots of Wayne Gretzky, at least at the beginning anyway. Spoilers, but I feel like that was pretty obvious from how I left the last one. Head to commercial break as the Detroit Red Wings have their second pick. This one that they got from the New York Islanders. But now we will reveal the legend. Oh yeah, I've read that one. The 17th pick was originally the Islanders before they traded that pick to Vancouver to get Horvat. Yeah, and then Vancouver traded it to get... Who did they trade? That was like the one where Vancouver like weirdly bought at the deadline after selling. From Detroit. Who did they get from Detroit? Why am I spacing on this? Anyway. Yeah, this is was originally the Islanders pick. It went to Vancouver, and now it's with Detroit for their second pick in this first round. Oliver Bonk still available as well. Not surprising that he's still available, but a fantastic last name. But he can't elevate the puck. Got some fans of the bar down guys. All right, let's see here. So Honzek was, he was picked right around where he was expected. Maybe a little bit earlier, but right around where he was expected to be picked. I don't think it was that interesting of a trade for what Detroit and Vancouver did. I don't think it was necessarily like the most noteworthy trade, which is probably why I forgot about it, other than the fact it was weird that Vancouver was trading a first round pick after they had just traded for it. Because like Vancouver, at that point we knew Vancouver wasn't making the playoffs, so it was just weird to see them spending a first round pick at the trade deadline when we knew they weren't going to make the playoffs. That was the most notable part of it. Oh, here we go. Seattle Home Run Derby commercial. July 10th. I want to be there. Tickets available yet? I want to go to the Home Run Derby so bad. I'm going to look up tickets for the Home Run Derby right now. Excuse me. I suppose I could do this later, but... StubHub. MLB Home Run Derby. Yeah, that's what I want. How many tickets? 2. Sure, why not? Oh, oh boy. Those are expensive. All right, how do we do? Okay, they're like... Okay, I'm definitely not paying $1,000 a ticket. They're like $250 to $300. No problem. Think somebody could hit it up to 306? Probably not. Well, whatever. We'll look at it later. I want to go to the Home Run Derby. On the 10th? Wow, that's coming up. It's in like 2 weeks. Tennessee State starting a hockey program? Neat. Actually, I didn't think spell their last names right. Whose last names? Every time I think of that team, I always wanted to see how the Sandix are doing, or Sandins are doing with that team. But now they have retired. Oh, Vancouver. Oh, how the Sandins were doing. Okay. Yeah, Sandin. Not okay. Always both brothers. Yeah, the Sandins were my favorite players growing up. Because I followed the Canucks until like 2011 after the Super Bowl, after the Stanley Cup that they lost to the Bruins, and I was a big fan of the Sandins and Luongo, and then the fan base kind of had the famous meltdown after they lost to the Bruins in that Stanley Cup final, and the more toxic part of the fan base and vocal, I'll say vocal minority, but the vocal part of it really turned on Luongo, and I wasn't about that, so I jumped ship to the Avalanche eventually. Followed the Avalanche for a few years until the Kraken showed up. About a decade. As our chat dad, I vote that you take all of us to the Home Run Derby. Not for $300 a ticket. I'm not taking everyone to the Home Run Derby. Not unless we start getting some real big chats up in here. I do not have enough money to take however many people to 30 right now, so, you know, not too bad, but... All right, we're back. Detroit's pick is in, so theoretically that means they've actually made the pick, and we're going to get halfway through this draft without a trade. I guess we're already halfway through the draft without a trade, and by draft I mean first round. Oh, it was Hronek. That's right, it was Hronek that Vancouver traded for. Okay, Detroit, hands off Sandin Pellikka. He's ours. I like your thinking, yeah. All right, here we go. Here's Yzerman again. We got to make it through 3 more teams, and the Kraken can get Sandin Pellikka. Let's see. Who does... If it's not him, who do they take? Colby Barlow, maybe? Colby Barlow's still there. Could definitely see him going. Oliver Moore, maybe. They still got a couple of picks. They could get 2 Olivers. They could get Oliver Moore and then Oliver Bonk later. Get the double Oliver going. They did go. They kind of reached down into the draft earlier, so maybe they'll do that again. Maybe go for like a Otto Stenberg. Seems like a Detroit name. I don't know why. All right, here's the selection. Dang it. They did take Pellikka. Darn you, Red Wings. Uh-oh. Goal, darn it. All right, well, that's a bummer. Red Wings taking our guy. I mean, I was not expecting him to fall to 17, so... All right, well, there's still a couple guys left here. Still a couple of guys that have kind of fallen down a little bit. Colby Barlow's fallen down a bit. Oliver Moore's fallen down a little bit. Gabriel Perreault's fallen down a little bit. I feel like, let's see, who do we got? We got the Jets and then the Blackhawks again. Let's look at Oliver Moore. For some reason, I feel like Oliver Moore is going to be available for the Kraken. Let's see what we can expect from Oliver Moore. Which one? You got to be this one, right? Okay, obviously a forward. We know that. So Oliver Moore, who's still available, played with the U.S. National U18 team. 75 points in 61 games, 31 goals, 44 assists. Then played at the USHL Juniors, played 23 games there with 25 points, 8 goals, 17 assists. Then at the U18 World Junior Classic, 9 points in 7 games. So, all right. Barlow is next. Yeah, I think Barlow probably gets taken one of these next two. If Barlow doesn't get taken by the Jets, he probably goes to Chicago. Gabriel Perreault still left as well. I could see him going. Quentin Musty is another guy that's still available and has definitely been rumored that the Kraken might go after. Mikhail Gulyayev is the Gulyayev, best defenseman still available. There's Oliver Bonk is another defenseman that's still left, and that's a guy that the Kraken could get. Again, great last name. Get a good defenseman that can throw his body around, lay some... I mean, I don't hate the idea of just being like live streaming just every time he has a hit. Oh, he really bonked him. Every time Oliver Bonk hits somebody, just, oh, that guy got bonked. Now, I'm not saying that the Kraken should pick a guy because he has the best last name available. At least, within reason. Musty's a pretty good last name as well. All right, 2 picks left, and then the Kraken. Here's the Jets. Their pick is in. Jets are going up to make the pick. At number 19, is that logo? No, that is not. As the Chicago Blackhawks, it's Chief Blackhawk. Native American. Or First Nationer. Oh, okay, retracted the comment. Probably for the best. No, you probably didn't mean anything by it, but... if the team he goes to doesn't make a get bonked shirt, then they've failed at marketing. I support drafting Bonk for his name. Like just for the pure content, the pure content. Spacing on the word, but potential. Can't think of potential because of the pure potential of the content. I'm hoping the Kraken take Bonk now just because. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's Colby Barlow. Like I said, Colby Barlow is probably going next. I knew there was a reason. I was like, I don't think Barlow's going to fall to... It's definitely a guy that had fallen a bit. Okay, Colby Barlow off the board to San Jose, Winnipeg, the Jets. Wow, he has a pretty full-looking beard there for an 18-year-old. Check his birth certificate. Say, of all the guys that have gone so far, he is the one that looks the oldest. (6'1", 200 pounds. So, decent size. Kids these days. All right, only the Blackhawks left before Seattle's pick here at 20. The one we've all been waiting for, and then we got 12 more picks afterwards. We'll get through the full first round, and then we'll probably just call it right after the first round ends, but I'll be back with a full breakdown of all the Kraken picks after the draft finishes, probably on Saturday. Draft finishes tomorrow, but probably won't be until Saturday or Sunday. Get that put together over the weekend at the very least, and get that video out. Draft recap, and then obviously we have free agency will hit, and we'll anything that happens during free agency involving the Kraken we'll cover for sure. Since Steve broke my heart with the Axel pick, I'm rooting for Perreault to go to the Kraken. Good look at that. He's definitely a possibility. Either he or Oliver Moore are definitely going to be available. Let's see what we got there. Say it might be the Kraken might be kind of reaching a little bit to go defense here, but again, this draft is so deep that maybe they just go defense anyway. If the Kraken are picking best available based on everything I've again seen and read, they probably are going to get a forward, but we'll find out. Let's see. Gabriel Perreault. Or the Kraken trade down a like. What if the Kraken could like trade down a few picks? They could trade down a few picks and then get Bonk or somebody like that, and pick up like another third round pick or so, or a second round pick maybe. All right, Perreault played with the USHL juniors team. 23 games, 45 points there, 19 goals, 26 assists. And then with the U.S. national U18 team, 132 points in 63 games, 53 goals, 79 assists. And with the at the U18 World Juniors, 7 games, 18 points on 5 goals and 13 assists. So yeah, I would not be not at all be mad at Perreault. Oh, there's Dave. Saw Dave Haxtell sitting on the corner there. The Kraken table way away from the stage. Ottawa Senators just all sitting there. I don't think they have a pick this first round. Geez, what's wrong with him? Yeah, I don't know why he's fallen so far. Maybe it's one of those like situations where all these teams, once you get this put to this point in the draft, all these teams have like their guy that they've put all this work into like scouting and stuff, and he's available, so they just like don't think and take him. All right, here's Chicago back up. Who do they take? Last pick before the Kraken. Right to it. They went Oliver Moore. All right. Oliver Moore, a very good skater. So, fast player and going to the Blackhawks. Mr. Pretty, Mr. Blue. Sky is here today. Kraken are on the clock. Let's go. Unfortunately, Connor Bedard has not fallen to the Kraken at 20. That's okay. We'll be happy with whoever the Kraken pick here. Best available at this point would be Gabriel Perreault, probably, just straight up. Gabriel Perreault is definitely the best available. If they don't go with him, then I would say, yeah, maybe like Oliver Bonk or... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Mikhail Gulyayev, one of the defensemen. Personally, I think Perreault or Bonk here are my two that I would see for the Kraken. They go forward, Perreault. They go Bonk. They go defenseman, they get Bonk. So, Are you a Seattle Sounders fan? Junior, he doesn't like soccer. I mean, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of soccer, to be honest. Like, I want the Sounders to do well. If there's going to be an MLS team that's going to do well and win it every year, I want it to be the Sounders. So I always cheer for the Seattle team. But yeah, I just have a hard time with soccer. It's just not very entertaining to watch. It's a lot of fun to play. It's just not a lot of fun to watch. And you know, I would be willing to give it another try because I kind of like I try to watch like a soccer game a year just to like see if like all right maybe this year I'll like it. Maybe I'm old enough to like it this like maybe I'm old enough to appreciate the how slow the game develops now that I'm 1 year older. But haven't gotten there yet, and now that the MLS is like all on Apple TV, I refuse to give Apple money, so I'm not gonna be giving them like watching too many MLS games that way. So we'll see. Again, MLS is getting bigger and bigger by the year, and the Sounders have a history of being one of the better teams in the league. So it's fun to have, you know, it's good to have Seattle represented well and the best soccer league in North America anyway. I think that's safe to say. All right. Who do the Kraken pick, everybody? Get your predictions in the chat if it hasn't already happened. We're a little bit behind on the delay, but Kraken haven't made their way up to the stage just yet. Oh, pick is in, though. The pick is in. Do they go Quentin Musty? Do they go Oliver Bonk? Mikhail Gulyayev? I'm going to have to learn how, if they pick him, I'm going to have to learn how to say his name if they pick him. There's two Y's in his last name, which really just throws you off. Oh, here they go. They're standing up and going to stage. Here's Ron. Here we go. Drum roll. Get us Gabe, Ronnie boy. I'll just say Bonk for fun. Bonk for the name. All right, it better be Gabe or Bonk. Here we go. Here we go. Kraken are up on the stage. Who is the newest member of the Kraken farm system? Probably won't play with the team right away. Still a year or two away from playing with the team, but it's definitely not a guy we're looking at playing with the team next year, but maybe in 2 years, maybe 3 years. Selection, here we go. Oh, okay. Eduard Sale. Well, that's a surprise. Well, we'll see what he turns into in a couple years, but Eduard Sale, I think that's how you pronounce it. Czech player. Shoots left. All right, he played in the Czechia Pro League. 14 points in 43 games in the Czechia Pro League there. U18 for the Czechia team, 6 points in 5 games. International U18, 19 points in 18 games. Czechia U20, World Juniors, 6 points in 7 games. So he did play with the World Junior team. Very responsible with the puck type of player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. All right. Interesting pick, but obviously they see something there that they like. Huh. No Bonk. Well, maybe Bonk will fall to the Kraken later on. When did the Kraken pick again in the second round? No, that's in the second round. I don't think he'll fall to them in the second round, though. They have... Let's see, when did the Kraken pick again? They don't pick until pick 50. Late in the second round. All right. I am whelmed by the pick. We'll find again. Whoever they picked probably wasn't going to play with the team for another couple years, so let's see how he develops over the next couple. And fortunately, the farm system's deep enough to where they don't really need him to be. Don't really need him to be like amazing right away. Yeah, we'll get the Sale. Kraken, Seahawks, Mariners fans. He's a left wing. Yeah, left wing. Do you see the Kraken name anyone captain? Oh, I should probably save this. I put it in there. There we go. Okay, well, here comes Minnesota. Perreault definitely won't come to the Kraken again unless they Yeah, I think that was definitely a case of the Kraken had their guy and they went for him. Surprised they left some defensemen on the board, but interesting draft. Well, while they're making their pick, let's look at let's look at this here real quick. All right, so this is Eduard Sale's pick as Charlie Stramel gets picked by the Wild. So these are the stats for Sale. Sale. I think it was Shale. I know it's not Sale. It looks like Sale, but I know it's not. Shale, I think is how you pronounce it. Anyway. But 18-year-old, 6'2", plays right wing, shoots left. 174 pounds, so definitely needs to probably fill out a little bit, get a little more weight before he's NHL ready, but got, what is this, Rookie of the Year for Czechia Extrelia Rookie of the Year. I don't know what Rookie of the Year in some league he played in. That's good. Must be this one, the U18, 21. So 21, 22 with a Czechia U20, 89 points. So maybe they're looking back at 2 years ago. He had an incredible year and then kind of maybe didn't have as great of a year this last year. I mean, obviously this is like the Czechia top league versus the U20 league, but I mean, U20, he's still playing well above his age. He would have been 17 then. 16, 17, and he's putting up that many points in the U20 league. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know, maybe it's a case of they think there's something there that they can develop over a couple of years. And again, supposedly very good at limiting mistakes, doesn't force the puck too much. Hopefully you're not like holding on to the puck too much at that point, but Kraken do sometimes hold on to the puck a little bit too long, so hopefully that doesn't turn into the thing with him, but we'll find out in a couple years. See how he develops over the next couple. Again, the Kraken have plenty of prospects on their way up anyway, so it's not like this is super do or die, but you want your first round picks to hit more often than not. And again, we had some questions when they took Riker Evans as early as they did, and obviously that has definitely worked out, so we'll see. In Ron Francis, we trust. Shale, Chalet. I'll go Shale for now. I'll take anyone who actually shoots the puck. Okay, well, we got who just got picked? Charlie got picked. Another interesting pick there from Minnesota. Like I said, we're definitely now in the point of the draft where we're going to see some guys getting picked out of what maybe the expected order was. And that is definitely the case here with Charlie Stramel. I don't know how I feel about that one. Yeah, I'd say I don't know how I feel about it either. Again, obviously Ron Francis and the team analytics team see something they really liked in him. He has played against, top talent in Czechia, so that's definitely something that I think that they like, is a guy that's played against some top talent and not just, playing against teenagers. We'll find out. Again, he's not going to play. Whoever they picked there wasn't going to play with the team for a couple of years anyway, so time to develop and all that. I don't know who it is. Surprised they left some defensemen on the board, but interesting draft and stash pick. I'll take anyone who actually shoots the puck. I read that one. Do you think the Kraken name anybody as captain this next year? I don't. I would lean towards no. I think they'll either name Beniers or nobody. I could see them naming Beniers this year. I think basically it's just whenever they feel Beniers is ready to be the captain is when they'll have a captain. I don't really think anyone else will. I think if somebody else was going to be the captain before Beniers, they would have done it this last season. And either Eberle or Gord would fit that role pretty well. And here are the Flyers again. This pick is from the LA Kings. No! The Flyers took Bonk. Well, I mean, we're more perfect than Philadelphia for a guy named Bonk. Ah, bummer. Bummer. I was hoping maybe he would just fall. No. The only having A's worked this last season. Yeah, not having a captain did seem to work well. Philly, you just made the list. Yeah, it's hard to be too mad. The Kraken had their chance. They had their chance, and they I can't say they blew it. We'll find out. We'll find out. Let's see. Let's look at Eduard Sale here a little bit more. As far as draft picks, I put this all together. I might as well look at it. He was picked anywhere from, he was picked in the first round on every one of the 10 that I found. So that's good. He's picked anywhere from 17 to 28. Average of 21.2 as far as where he was picked in the draft. So somewhere in the 20s there is kind of where he was, early 20s is where he was expected to go. Tankathon had him going 17, and Kimmelman from NHL.com had him going 17. Pronman from The Athletic had him going 28. Oh, actually, no. Hockey News had him going 15. So, kind of all over the place. Hockey Guy had him going 22nd. So, Hockey Guy had him going here with Philadelphia. On the clock are the New York Rangers. We've got 9 picks left now. Right? Maybe 10. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep, 10 picks left. But Oliver Bonk is gone. Alas. I got a kid in a Sharks jersey with a kid in a Sharks jersey had a headlock on a kid in a Wild jersey there, just walking around the draft floor. So I don't know what that's about, but the Sharks have the upper hand as far as children in the front office is concerned. Sharks just that got a little bit more physicality in the youth of their front office or what have you than the Wild do there. Certainly that battle being won by the Sharks. Ten picks left. We'll get through these last 10, and then once the last one's made, I will be overdue for eating some dinner. So you can just hang out here. Maybe the Kraken will trade up again. You never know. We still have not had a single trade here in the first round yet. They already had a number of trades at this point last year. New York Rangers coming up here to make the pick. Gabriel Perreault still available. Mikhail Gulyayev still available. That's one I wouldn't mind seeing fall to the Kraken. Get a defenseman here with their second pick or first pick in the second round. It's not for quite a while, so probably won't, but who do we got here from the New York Rangers? I suppose I could see, what did the Athletic have to say about all right, Rangers get Perreault. All right, Perreault goes to the New York Rangers. And now, Nashville has their second pick of the first round. Yeah, I would have liked to have Perreault. But that's all right. Let's see, here, what do we have? Another thing here on Eduard Sale. Sorry. Hard to pin down Sale or where Sale will go. Not talking to a lot of NHL folks in the draft lead up who are saying not talking to a lot of NHL folks in the draft lead up who are saying how excited they would be to take him. At a certain point, though, despite the inconsistencies, he's way too talented to last much longer. If the Leafs decided, so they had him going to the Leafs here. So kind of inconsistent. Nobody really knew what to do with him. Not a lot of hype around him. You know, all things that you really like to hear about the guy your team just took. Position, Haven't focused on patching up positional holes. So this would be different. Shale. So yeah, not a lot being said about Shale. No one really seems to know what to expect from him. Also, another thing about Perreault, his dad was is the all-time leader in won faceoffs. I should say face-off percentage. His dad has the best face-off percentage in NHL history. So. What do you think about Michkov? I think he's a very, very talented player that there's a lot of question marks around his situation with being from Russia and his KHL contract for 3 years. If the Flyers can find a way to get him to the States and dodge all of those issues, then he could be a very, very good player for a long time. So we'll see. I think it's the type of guy that, from everything I've heard, that talent-wise he could be up there with Bedard, certainly second most talented player in this draft, but slipped because nobody really knows what to expect from that whole situation. We could have used that. Yeah, I mean, who knows if father or if son, the apple falls far from the tree as far as winning faceoffs. But yeah, his dad knew how to win faceoffs, and it would have been nice to have some of that knowledge at least with the Kraken. So Nashville has this pick from Edmonton from the Ekholm trade. Yeah. The more I learn about Perreault, the more of a bummer it feels like that the Kraken did not end up getting him. I want Perreault now. Oh, I should probably put Perreault in the little ticker, huh? Oh, I already did. Look at me. All right, Nashville's up here with the pick.
Thank you, Smashville. Now, to make our second pick in the first round, our captain, Roman Josi, and legendary goaltender, Pekka Rinne.
All right, Nashville bringing out a couple of players to make the pick. Oh, on an alternate stage. We had another stumble on the last name. Molendyk. What did the draft projections put on Perreault? He was higher up. He was anywhere from a 9th pick to a 19th. So everyone had him selected before the Kraken. Everyone had him selected before he ended up falling to where he did. Ends up falling to 23rd, which was a lot lower, 4 picks lower than anybody had him picked. And he was, again, picked anywhere as high as 9th. So yeah, he wasn't supposed to fall to the Kraken, and then they kind of let him slip by. I mean, we'll find out. It feels like one that might be got a little too focused on one guy and didn't necessarily see what else was available. But again, so far Ron Francis has done great with the drafting. There hasn't really been too many picks that he's had yet in the system that are kind of just like, there haven't been too many picks in the system that you're wondering what the heck is going on. Like, too many picks that have not worked out so far. Like, everyone's done pretty well. So maybe that'll be another case of that, but we'll find out. Have you seen Michkov's lacrosse goals, and what do you think of them? I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a couple, so I mean, I know he can do it. And most of these younger players that are that talented definitely can do that move. So I'd love to see more of it in the NHL. Get, any more of that more talent that can show up. So I love it. Definitely new and exciting ways to score are always good. I regret Perreault as well. Sigh, I trust Ron Francis. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, the more I look at Perreault, the more I'm like, oh gosh, why didn't they take him? Yeah, I don't know. They must have seen something they liked with him. Again, talk about the last pick that I can remember that was kind of higher up that, nobody's questioning Matty Beniers at 2. Nobody's going to question Shane Wright at 4. So the only other pick I can think of where people were like, really? Like, what are you doing selecting him there, was Riker Evans. And, they took Riker Evans early in the second round of that same, he was their second pick after Beniers. They took him early in that second round when he was seen by most as a potentially even third round pick, like a guy they might have even been able to get with their third round pick. But they took him second and kind of raised a lot of eyebrows, some seeing it as the biggest reach of the draft. And here we are talking about him potentially being ready to play with the Kraken this next year. So obviously, us couch GMs can only kind of sit here and do that. And obviously Ron Francis and his team seem to know what they're doing, and so far so good. So we'll just trust him with this one as well. Down to 8 picks left. The pick is in for the Blues, their second pick of this first round. Still no trades. So do the Kraken try and trade back up? I kind of don't think they will, but maybe they will. This kid is just staring down the camera. He's like, I have a job to do. Get out of my way. Quentin Musty is a guy that I would, be fun to see fall to the Kraken. That was someone people were talking about maybe them taking here. Otto Stenberg. I'll be honest, at this point, I don't know much about a lot of these guys getting picked. San Jose's got one more pick here coming up. Then the Avalanche still have 2 picks. I thought we might use our 20th pick to sweeten the pot in a trade for a blue liner. Yeah, it's possible that they were talking about that and then it just never happened. I don't know. The Kraken still have their first round picks for the next couple of years, and they got 3 second round picks, so that you could definitely sweeten the pot there. I don't know. Personally, with this draft being as good as it is, as good and as deep as it is, I wouldn't be disappointed at all if the Kraken use all of their at least the 4 picks that they have in these first 2 rounds. Avaholic says, go Avs go. Yeah, Avs still picked twice. Presumably that's his little brother. Well, the Swede gets to wear blue and yellow with the Blues, so he'll be used to that. Boy, that is quite the jersey he's got there. Green and red with some zigzags. Appreciate everyone that stuck around to this point. Definitely getting to the last few picks and some ones that we don't really know much about. But Otto Stenberg, a center here from Sweden. Now hit 7 o'clock, so we've been streaming for over 3 hours now. Starting to run a little short on cast, but that's all right. We'll get through these last 7 picks. On the clock are the Sharks. They're taking their time. I missed the Sabres pick because I was making dinner, but Zach Benson should fit right in. Yeah, and he fell to them a bit too, so I think the Sabres got a good pick there. Zach Benson definitely fell a bit to get to the Sabres, and they ended up getting a guy that was projected to go higher, so hopefully that works out for them. Definitely love to see the Sabres back in the playoffs.
What, if anything, do you know about St. Louis?
I don't know that much. I'm a really good friend with Dalibor Dvorsky, so it was really fun, and I heard it. I know Alexander Steen as a player, so yeah, I think that's all.
He's now the head of player development.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, what's that going to be like, just being able to learn under him?
I mean, really fun. He's been a really good player, and yeah, so just really fun.
All right, what do you want St. Louis people to know about?
Callum Ritchie's still available as well. Some defensemen.
Smart player, and I will help the team to win games for sure.
It's a great city, just don't eat the bagels there. They slice them weird.
Definitely, sounds good.
Tack så mycket.
Yeah, tack så mycket.
Don't eat the bagels there. They slice them weird. Oh, boy. All right, what else we got in chat? We can just hang out, throw questions. We can talk about whatever you guys want over these next few ones. If you're a fan of one of the teams that's left, just got a few people hanging around still, but appreciate it nonetheless. Definitely appreciate you doing this. I've been listening while cooking dinner, eating dinner, doing dishes, and now cleaning my kitchen. Absolutely. Looking forward to eating dinner myself here in a little bit. Sharks going up with the 2nd pick here. Or I should say their 2nd pick of the first round. I'm sure the Sabres will be back in it. If not this season, the next. Lots of talent and young too. Yeah. I think the Sabre that drought's coming to an end soon. All right, Quentin Musty is off the board. All right. Quentin Musty is off the board. It's another guy that some people were talking about for the Kraken. Avs on the clock. Oh, and doing laundry, says Avaholic. I'm sure the Sabres will be back. Yeah, I said that one. Yep. Oh, boy. Yeah, some guys that... I mean, you never know. Just because the pundits and all these experts and stuff like one guy more than another. And especially with, like, all these guys have had a chance to see more of the players that have played in North America. So some of the, like Czechia or Russian or even Swedish players, sometimes you don't know quite as much about them as the North American ones. So maybe that's playing into it too a bit with Shale, but
It's on a great block, tree-lined street.
The neighbors are observant.
And we're back at the Sullivan house.
It's lawn day, Sheila, and the leaves are finally up.
Bit of an eyesore.
I'll say.
Dry shave. Interesting technique.
That's going to come back to haunt him. Some people clean while they cook, not these folks.
by the way, how did we end up with the 20th pick? By making the playoffs.
I wouldn't have pegged these two as wingers.
I still don't.
For bungling made easy.
Yeah, the Kraken make the playoffs, and then so obviously once you make the playoffs, you have one of the last 16 picks, and then from there it's by points percentage at the end of the season for the teams that don't make the conference final. So the 4 teams that make the conference final get the last 4 picks in order of point. Actually, not in order of points percentage. In order of points percentage for the losers, and then the 2 that make the cup final get obviously picks 31 and 32, depending on who wins. But if you lose in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, then you get your spot in the points percentage. So even though the Kraken made it deeper into the playoffs than the Avalanche, obviously, because they beat the Avalanche, because the Kraken got knocked out in the second round still and got knocked out in one of the first 2 rounds, they get a higher pick than the Avalanche because they finished the season with a worse record than the Avalanche. So that's how you end up with the 20th pick. The Kraken were the 10th best team in the NHL by points percentage, and they lost in the first 2 rounds, so that's where they end up. Actually, no, sorry, they were the 9th best because the Panthers jumped them by making the cup final. Got some tater tots that showed up here, so I'm going to snack on that real quick. Tell us whatever you want about yourself outside of hockey. Been getting into disc golf lately. I played a lot of it in college, and didn't really. I mean, yeah, just didn't really play it much since college until recently, and it's a lot of fun. Much cheaper way to play golf. Cheaper, and I'm slightly better at it than normal golf. I like both, but yeah, normal golf is a little bit more expensive and harder to find tee times and stuff like that. a little more involved as well. Disc golf, you can get through a round of 18 pretty quick. So, been doing that. Watch some of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's kind of fun. I would say more entertaining than real golf, but I don't know. I don't really watch much real golf either. So, hard to say for sure. I feel like golf is one of those things, and it's true with like when I was watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You just kind of like, you put it on the background, like put it on a second monitor while you're working on stuff or whatever. Put it on the TV in the background, and you just do something else, and you have it there, and you look up every now and then to see what's going on and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's one thing. Is there any like outside of hockey videos people would like to see? I don't know how many videos I'm gonna have time to make outside of hockey, but if there's any of those, the few of you that have stuck around can have the say there. I will say, coming in this, I've already talked about it before in videos before, but working on getting Patreon set up, so I'll trying to figure out awards. So like, oh, come the Avalanche, Callum Ritchie. So far, with 5 picks left, we haven't had anybody completely off the board yet. Nobody completely off the board. Actually, it's been pretty close to the top ones. Let's see, who's the farthest down? Tanner might be the farthest one down. Yeah, I think Tanner Molendyk is the farthest down that any pick has been made yet. Callum Ritchie. Callum Ritchie to the Avs. Sounds like the pretty high on him. Dream teammate Wayne Gretzky. That's pretty funny. Go Avs go. Golf 100% qualifies as a sport. Way more fun to play than watch. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. As someone who's never been to Seattle, some kind of video about the city, your favorite places, history, whatever, would be kind of cool. I might be able to do that. I'll be honest, I don't know, like, I wouldn't call myself a history buff on Seattle history necessarily, other than, the part that I've lived through, but could definitely do like more of an overarching like sport, like history of sports in Seattle, just all sports in Seattle. Because they've had obviously the history with hockey going back. They had a Negro League baseball team way back when, before they ever had MLB. The Iron Men, I believe, is what their name was. Basketball, the Sonics were the first, like, of the big pro leagues that still left. The Sonics were the first one here, and obviously we know how that story came to an end. But they had the Pilots before the Mariners. We had a professional lacrosse team for a little bit, and then I think they disappeared. I don't really know what happened there, but I remember they had one. Got a professional rugby team that I think won the championship last year, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, the Seattle Storm have been winning championships left, right, and center while Sue Bird was there. Toronto is on the clock with the 28th pick. How about a rant about the Mariners this season? Oh, it might happen. I was definitely considering doing like a video a month about the Mariners. In fact, I've been considering it for a couple of years. But one with the Seahawks, with the Kraken making it as deep in the playoffs as they did, I didn't have time to do it for the first month, and then by the time we got deep here into the second month of the season, it was kind of like, oh, God, do I really want to make a video about the Mariners right now? So I think I might do like, I don't know, stick to like do a Mariners fan reaction. Actually, one that I want to do is I didn't think about it until we were already into like March of this year, but at the end of every calendar year, do a video of like Seattle teams fan reactions. So like do a fan reaction video with like a Mariners fan, a Seahawks fan, a Kraken fan. Maybe I'll throw a Sounders fan in there. I don't watch the games, but I know enough of the headlines, and I follow along with what the Sanders are doing on like ESPN app and stuff like that. So could probably throw the Storm in there. Obviously, if the Sonics come back, they'll be there. And the Seawolves, throw in some rugby as well. Oh, the rugby team lost the final, but they have won 2 times before. Okay, good to know. The Seawolves. They've got a cool name and a cool logo, so I'm all about the Seawolves. I played rugby for all of like 2 months back in high school, and then my problem was that I was a winger, which in rugby means you're the fast guy on the outside that's supposed to like outrun everybody. But the problem with being the fast guy on the outside is you're also usually one of the smaller guys. And while height-wise I was fine, weight I was definitely smaller, and did not enjoy. I played a lot of football, but I didn't like getting hit without pads. Hi. Oh, hello, Grayson. Oh, guy comes up, makes the pick quick. Easton Cowan. Is that off the board? Do we have our first pick all the way off the board? I think so. All right, I have to type it in. All right. Easton Cowan all the way off the board for the Maple Leafs. Wasn't in the first round on any of the lists that I found. Easton Cowan goes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their pick from the Boston Bruins. So, there you go, Boston. Leafs using your pick. And they made it farther in the playoffs. Of course, it's Toronto. Love ice hockey and really like baseball, but other than the Olympic sports, oh, we got some emojis flying out. Someone found the emoji button. But other than the Olympic sports, I don't give a wet slap about other team sports. Fair enough. I just like team sports in general, and some single sports. Like I don't like tennis. Tennis is kind of boring. Fun to play. Again, really fun to play. Just dull as all get out to watch. And some of that's the commentating, like and golf is kind of the same way, but like tennis and golf, the commentating is like they're broadcasting it in a library, and it's just like I'm not watching sports to feel like I'm in a library, you know? And tennis just seems a little too stuck up. I don't like the vibes of like pro tennis, if that makes sense. But it's still fun to play. As far as like individual sports that I like, again, kind of found an affinity for disc golf recently, and then Formula One. I follow Formula One. It's more of individual, although I haven't watched as many races this year because I don't really like Max Verstappen, and every time it's like when Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes were dominant, and they were like 30-second, like Lewis was 30 seconds to a minute down the road from everybody else. It's like that, but this time I don't like the guy that's winning versus actually like I know, roll your eyes, I'm a Lewis fan. I like Lewis. If I had to pick my favorite driver, it would be Daniel Ricciardo, but he's not driving right now, and he hasn't been on a winning team for a few years. So Lewis is my favorite of like the top drivers. I'm a Sonics fan, but I do like hockey a little bit. Yeah, hockey's fun. Obviously, I'd love to have the Sonics back. I'd much rather watch hockey than basketball, but I mean, I don't know. I like watching March Madness. I don't know if I've watched more than 1 or 2 games of the NBA since they left Seattle, because one, I didn't grow up with basketball, so I'm not like a huge fan of it. I became kind of more of a fan of basketball in college, actually, right after the Sonics left, because that was the only team really our college had, like big team the college had. So if you wanted to go watch a college sport, you're going to go watch basketball. So plus the school I went to won the D2 college championship one of the years, so that was fun. So it's fun to go to, and especially college atmosphere basketball was fun. But after the the last 2 minutes of the game, I feel like it's kind of whatever. And then if it's not close enough in the last 2 minutes, it's just fouls constantly. So I think I could learn to like basketball, but I just haven't really had the reason to try to learn to like basketball because of the Sonics leaving. So when the Sonics come back, I'll give it another shot and start watching the NBA again a little bit, and we'll see where we go from there. But of course, it's Toronto. I just wish they wouldn't keep nerfing the cars. No, I mean Sonic the Hedgehog, not the Supersonics. Oh no, Sonic the Hedgehog. I haven't watched the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie. If it's, I don't know if it's any good. The first Sonic the Hedgehog movie was great. I don't know if the second one's any good. All right, here come the Blues. 4 picks left. This is one of them. Oh, we've hit 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds. We did it. One of the longest streams. Always the longest stream of the year is the draft. I'll say it's a lot longer when the Kraken pick a little bit like... Oh, Theo Lindstein, a defenseman off the board. Theo Lindstein. All right. They horse around a lot. So we're 3 picks away from getting through the first round without a single trade. So from a chaos perspective, not as interesting of a draft as not as interesting of a first round as last year. From the chaos perspective, no trades so far. Now there were more of these first round picks that had already traded hands than there were last year, so maybe there's that, but This kid with the hair slicked back, just all business. Three picks left. We've got Carolina, then Arizona. Carolina, then the Avalanche. And then the Vegas Golden Knights will close it out. Three picks left, and we're heading to a commercial break. Oh, wait, that's still the Blues. Never mind. I was going to say the pick is in, but that's still the Blues pick. I don't know. I really thought the Avalanche were going to trade these picks for established players. I guess they wanted to replenish their depleted farm system. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to replenish a bit because now's the window for the Avs, so who knows? Maybe these are prospects that they keep around for a bit and then they trade them, or maybe it's one where they tried to trade the picks and the trades just never really came to be what they wanted, so they end up keeping the picks. Because they're the Hurricanes. Why does Carolina logo look like a cyclone? Because it's a hurricane. Do love tater tots. Yeah, Carolina Hurricanes, and they're black and red because everyone has to be black and red for some reason. But also, there's one part that makes sense, and it's because the nautical flag for a hurricane is see if I get this right, a red square with a black dot in the middle. I think. Pretty sure it's a red square with a black dot, like black square. It's like red square, black square, or it's the other way around. I can't remember which. Pretty sure it's that way, though. Three picks left. Mikhail Gulyayev is still available. Keep slipping. Best defenseman left. I don't know that he's going to get to 50, so the Kraken will have to trade up if they want to get to him. Ah, yes, the draft of David Poile. The draft of Connor Bedard and David Poile. Stars of the draft. Is that a Ron Francis Hartford Whalers jersey? It sure is. Sure is. Bradley Nadeau. Now the Avalanche are on the clock with the second to last pick of this first round. Not gonna bother. Not gonna bother. I will not be streaming tomorrow for rounds 2 through 7, but I will be keeping an eye on it, and we'll do a video for all of the Kraken picks afterwards. As we close in here with the last 2 picks of the draft, and we'll be heading out pretty shortly after those picks finish up. So if you got any last questions or thoughts about the Kraken 1 pick at 20, Eduard Sale, and let's leave him now. We got 2 picks left. Know anything about Nadeau? I don't, but we sure can find out. Top junior A player in North America, they're saying. Going to the University of Maine, so we know that about him. Elite Prospects doesn't seem to know much about him. So he's got a good shot, going to the University of Maine. Young player, somewhat unknown. He's tied for first in BCHL goals with 45 this last season. Go Avs go, and then by Dad. See you at the Home Run Derby. All right, Avs and then Vegas are the last 2 picks of this first round. This pick, obviously, the Avs have the pick of the Florida Panthers, who do not pick today. Few of you sticking around here for the last couple of picks, appreciate it. And we'll see these last 2 picks, and then again we'll have a video kind of talking about all the Kraken picks from this draft after it finishes up tomorrow. And by after, I mean we'll work on that video over the weekend, get that out, and then maybe try and get it out Saturday or Sunday. Then free agency hits on Sunday, and we'll have something for everything that happens on free agency. Who do you have for Vegas? Who will Vegas pick? At this point, it seems like anything goes. But I'm kind of hoping that Mikhail Gulyayev can somehow slide all the way to the Kraken pick at 50. It seems pretty unlikely, but because I want it, I'm sure they'll probably pick him. Let's see, who else is still available here? Andrew Cristal still hasn't been picked, and he was selected a few times. One person had him, someone already had him all the way up at 12th. Hockey News had him already all the way up at 12th. Couple of other guys here. Let's see who else was selected in a lot of these. David Edstrom still available. Gavin Brindley's still available. Ethan Gauthier still available. So this was a pick that the Habs had until they traded for Alex Newhook from the Avalanche. The Avalanche got someone named Fairbrother and this pick and something else. Here we go. Pick 31. Second pick by the Avalanche in the first round. Oh, well. Avalanche took Mikhail Gulyayev.
Do they need another D-man? Hey, listen, I love your question. His agent Dan Milstein. I'll tell you this.
4 years from now, you might, right?
Hey, everybody I talked to raved about
Yeah, I mean, there was no chance he was really going to slide to the Kraken all the way at 50, so
based on his skill set on the backhand. Very
that was a guy I wouldn't have been upset with the Kraken taking at 20. This pick and a second that we flipped to Tampa Bay for Ross Colton. So essentially, we traded Newhook for Colton and a first. Pretty good. Yeah, the Avs know what they're doing. Good front office there. Thank you. Have a good night. Thanks for joining Avaholic. Appreciate it joining as always. And we'll see you for the next stream. I don't know when our next stream will be. I don't know. We might do something over the course of the summer, but we'll see. All right, Vegas is on the clock. Then I can eat dinner.
Connor Bedard. Leo Carlsson, the big Swede, went second to Anaheim. Adam Fantilli, the Michigan man, dropped by Ohio.
The vehicles are all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. The choice is all yours. See your dealer for exceptional offers today.
Marie is ready to buy her first home.
Thanks again for the stream. Absolutely.
And finance with Rocket Mortgage.
Happy to do it. Got all the names on scrolling over here. So, if you have any questions about anything, we haven't had any trades. Been a pretty straightforward first round. Right on through. Vegas is on the clock, and then all the rest, rounds 2 through 7, all happen rapid fire tomorrow. So, a long day for GMs tomorrow. And front offices in general, I suppose. I'll wait for Vegas's pick and then see myself out, says KJ. You and me both. See Vegas's pick and then yep. There's a guy in this draft named Denver Barkley. Well, if he doesn't go to Colorado, then what are we even doing here? Andrew Cristall is the best left. Can you believe Bedard went first overall? I can hardly believe it. What a Cinderella story for that guy. Just out of nowhere. Nobody saw it coming. Adam Miniton. Okay, the next defenseman that scrolls over the best. Oh, here we go. Caden Price. Calling it now. Caden Price from Kelowna is the one the Kraken are picking next pick. Here we go. Pick is in for Vegas. It's all down to this. One last pick for the first round. Final pick. Here we go. The Vegas Golden Knights would like to congratulate ourselves on winning the cup. All right, the David Poile first round has come to an end. This first round brought to you by the career of David Poile. Oh, David Edstrom. All right, there you have it. The first round of the 2023 draft has come and gone. The Kraken still have all three of their picks for the second round. They take Eduard Sale in the first round. One we'll find out. Feeling whelmed about it at the moment, but especially with some of the guys that had fallen to that spot. But we'll see. We trust in Ron Francis again. His drafting history has been great. Even drafting back when he was the GM of the Hurricanes, he was great drafting there, and so far so good with Seattle with the prospects as they've come up. The Kraken still have 3 picks in the second round. Then they've got their picks in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2 in the 6th, and 1 in the 7th. So still plenty of picks left for the Kraken, 9 in total. And yeah. Well, boos for the Golden Knights. Yeah, boo. All right. Just feel whelmed about the Blues draft so far, says Darkness. I mean, hey, you got 3 picks, so even if one of them doesn't hit, you got to think one or 2 of them might. So it's the nice thing about having a lot of picks. You get, doesn't matter if one of the guys is kind of a bust. If all you need is 1 or 2 of them to work out, and that's pretty good. Will I be streaming tomorrow? No, I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. No, got stuff I need to get done during the day tomorrow, and yeah, I don't know how much I'd have to offer. Once we got later into this first round, I didn't really know much about the picks other than what I would like go on Elite Prospects and see. So, oh, and there's that too. It starts at 8 a.m. Pacific, so I can't stream all day tomorrow. My Pens don't pick until 90 in the 3rd round. Yeah, the Kraken do pick 3 times tomorrow. The Kraken, let's look at it one more time where the Kraken pick. Kraken pick 50th with their selection from the Jets, then 52nd with their own selection, then 57th with their pick from the Maple Leafs. So, yeah. See who falls to that point. The Detroit Red Wings have picks 41 through 43. They've got 3 picks in a row in the second round there. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining. No, I will not be streaming tomorrow. Can't quite stream all day, but we'll have a review of the Kraken draft coming up here after the draft finishes up. That'll happen this weekend at some point. And then free agency hits Sunday, and anything the Kraken do in free agency certainly be covering here on the channel, and some other stuff as well. Got a Kraken fan reaction to the season coming out. We'll have potentially, if I have the time for it, fan reaction to the draft from all the fans across the league. Get all 32 of them together. They're hard to wrangle up. What else? I got, obviously, once things die down again a little bit, towards the end of July, end of July, beginning of August is probably when we'll be able to get to the next 101, which is the next installment of the history of hockey. And I got a couple other things planned that I'm working on finishing up as well. It'll be pretty fun. Some kind of new, just kind of for kicks and giggles, some kind of fun, wacky things. So, yeah. Other than that, if you've stuck out to this point, thank you very much for joining. And, well, we'll do this again next year when that time comes. And hopefully the Kraken will be picking 32nd when that time comes. So, and not via trade. Via that being their pick. Anyway, hopefully you join before then. Next stream, we'll see if we do another stream before the season starts. But if I don't do another stream before the season starts, we'll certainly be streaming during the season. And yeah. Thanks again for joining. See you. Go Kraken.